Yep, Drew Nixon with you. Hope everybody's having a good start to their day. Coming up in a half hour, the return of our viNFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino. Can't wait for that. A lot to get caught up with on the NFL front with him, including his New York Jets. And we'll probably sneak in a baseball question or two. We haven't talked to him since the season wrapped up. So I want to make sure we do that as well. But it'll be good to have Vinny joining us. I think Tuesdays was his normal time last year. So hopefully Tuesdays going forward, we'll be able to have Vinny on if his schedule fits the rest of the football season. Also in the 1 o'clock hour today, Nate Taylor from The Athletic will join us. We'll get his perspective on the injury situation with the Chiefs. Obviously, what's going on with the rest of the NFL, how it could impact the trade market. If he's hearing anything new, does the Juju Smith-Schuster injury or Jalen Watson injury push the Chiefs to make a move sooner or at all? All that things we'll get into with Nate Taylor. You guys can always interact with us on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. At some point today, I don't know, Drew, you tell us when, man. We're ready for the beatboxing. If you listen to the end of the show yesterday, we all had this a year plus of Drew producing for us. We all discovered at the same time, live on the air, that Drew can beatbox. We were like, how have you not told us this? So at some point today,
informed earlier.
At some point today, that's going to happen. I don't know.
Maybe we'll
when.
save it for Nate so we can get a third person to judge it.
I like that. 1 o'clock
hour.
hour.
More people to judge. That way, it's a fair accounting of his beatbox.
Did I say
skills.
Thursday, by the way? It's Tuesday. I wish
You
it
said
was
Thursday?
Text line says I did, so I probably did. I figured you would have jumped on me on that one.
Didn't catch it.
Here we go on a Tuesday, I thought, but on a Thursday.
Starts with the T.
I wish it was Thursday.
Close.
We'd already be in Vegas if it was Thursday. Maybe that's me hoping, Cody, it's Thursday. But yes, I trust. I do know it's Tuesday, even if I might have said Thursday.
Close enough.
See, the text line is always on top of it, man.
They don't miss a thing, do they?
The text line does not miss a thing. Thank you both, or 3 of you, or 4 of you, now 5 of you that have texted in. Yes, today is in fact Tuesday. Let's talk about the Chiefs, though. We know they're undefeated, and we kind of in passing last week had the conversation about the path before the Bills game and the path to how realistic could it get at some point to have an undefeated season? And I told you I don't really entertain they're going to go undefeated until
You're not going to say that sentence until
they're like 10-0 or something. I mean, there's just too much football. But now that they got through the Niners, now that the Bucs game looks way different after Mike Evans went down with a hamstring injury, Godwin's clearly done for the year, nasty dislocated ankle. Ugh. That game doesn't look like the same on Monday night back at Arrowhead. So really, they should be, 9-0 going into the Bucs, the Bills game.
They're going to be 5 to 10 point favorites, right, in the next 3 games. What are they right now? Like an 8-9 point favorite this weekend against Vegas? They're going to be, and if
9.5, yeah.
If the Bucs are missing Godwin and Evans, they'll be missing Godwin no matter what, and maybe Evans. They'll be a 5-6 point favorite. You think? Probably on Monday night at home.
Yeah, at least Cody, 6.5, probably. Yeah,
maybe. And then what's the following game? The Panthers or the Browns? One of those two.
Browns is later. It's Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. They're going to be a 14-point favorite against that team. So, I mean, they're going to be a pretty heavy favorite over the next 3 games. I was thinking about this number last night before I knew what this Bucs game would be. Now that we know the Bucs game is hypothetically going to be less than what we were anticipating, I give this team like a 15% chance to go undefeated. That's a pretty high percentage for a team that is 6-0. I know they have to win 11 consecutive more games after this, and then win 3 more consecutive games in the postseason, because obviously if they're undefeated in the regular season, they would go undefeated. They would have the number 1 seed because everyone else has a loss. So they have to win 14 consecutive games, and they've only won 6. Which means I am way too 25% in. I'm still giving you a 15% chance. I feel like I'm being pretty generous with 15%.
You're being very generous.
Too generous?
Well, I mean, everybody can have their own opinion on it. I think so. I think it's still 5% or less. It's the NFL. We've seen the injuries that have happened with this team already. It's just so tough week in and week out to perform at the level that they do that's required in the NFL, not to slip up. Another injury goes your way or doesn't go your way. To me, it's still 5% or less. There's a reason why we don't talk about it very often. The reason why it's very rare for a team to even get to 10-0 in the last decade or so. The Steelers, I think, aren't they the last team to start 11-0 or 12-0, whatever it was?
You might remember the Eagles started 9-0 a couple of years ago.
And they fell apart.
And, I mean, it completely fell apart. Remember, they barely made the postseason, then got their ass kicked in the first postseason game. They dismantled themselves.
Here's the odds. I mean, I can give you actually what
implied
Vegas implied odds. So 11-1 for the Chiefs to go 17-0 is where the FanDuel Sportsbook has it at right now. So you can bet. I mean, you can bet it right now. Is 11-1 good enough for you to actually bet it? You're telling me there's a 15% chance. I think it's 5 or less. I actually don't think
11-1 would, my implied odds would say yes, I should bet it.
Yeah, like I don't think 11-1 is good enough odds for me to lay down money and wait until mid-January to cash the ticket anymore. I don't think if it was 20-1, I'd be on it. 11-1, it's not good enough anymore.
It
for
was
me.
probably 20-1 a week ago.
I'm sure, or
2 weeks ago. Whatever number you would have had to find. What's the implied odds?
That's
of that?
what
It's 11-1.
I was stalling a little bit as you were.
Okay, I apologize. I thought you had that ready to go
as you were talking, I was trying to Google it out. All right, 11-1 implied odds. Since we're so good at math on this show, 8.3%. So split the difference between you and I here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm about double the percentage. Yeah. And they're saying you're a little light. Vegas saying you're a little light. They're saying I'm a little too confident that that's going to be the case. But I don't think that it's outside of the question anymore. Yeah, am I officially predicting the Chiefs are going undefeated yet? No. They're still without their number 1 wide receiver, their number 1 running back, their number 2 wide receiver. They've switched all the things we've mentioned before, right? All those things are still true, but the Chiefs don't have that difficult of a schedule remaining. We can talk more about them maybe later in the week. They have the 19th hardest strength of schedule remaining. Actually, that was before the Chargers game last night, who lost.
Okay.
Which would probably imply the strength of schedule remaining just went down for the Chiefs.
But we would also admit at the same, the Bucs might have, the Bucs lost, so it goes down again. But also their injuries mean that game is just so different, man.
23rd. It's down to 23rd.
Well, yeah.
Easiest strength of schedule remaining.
Beautiful.
But Buffalo's below them. The Chargers are below them. There are teams that have easy schedules as well to go with it. But, I mean, look at the Chiefs' schedule and look at what we know now. The division is not good. That's
we knew that before the season.
Sure, but now we know exactly where they are, right? The Raiders have changed quarterbacks, the same 2 quarterbacks, 80,000 times, and by the time Sunday rolls around, they might start Bailey Zappi. Hell, I don't know. Or that's not.
The Browns signed you're thinking of Desmond Ritter. Zappi went to the Browns from the Chiefs practice squad, and then Desmond Ritter's now with the Raiders.
By the time Sunday hits. We mentioned that Bucs game being different. So here are the games that are non-divisional games because we know that. The Bills on the road. That is a very, very difficult game. The Bills are good. They get the Texans at home. Texans are a pretty good team. They're still very talented. But you get them on home, and that is get them at home, and that is short rest, but not that short a rest. It's like a 6-day schedule instead of 7, and you're on the same boat. And then I would argue Steelers on the road is kind of tough. And the 3 games in 10 days adds a level of difficulty. Other than that, they're going to be favored. The only game they might not be favored in is the Bills. And we know what the Chiefs are when they're underdogs in a game. Pretty much winning 80% of the time in Patrick Mahomes' history. So that's why I think it's a 15% chance. I don't think it's an unfair number. I know it's high based on the implied odds, but I think that that's what I would give them to do it.
Well, it definitely skyrockets and gets to what you're saying if they beat the Bills. They get to the Bills, then
I might be talking 50-50 in my mind.
Then it gets to the mark that I've mentioned, which is 10-0. All right, let's really start thinking, is this a real possibility for this football team? And the conversations then will shift to, oh my goodness, what if they're undefeated going into the Broncos game the last week of the season? And do you play the starters or do you not? Because you would be 16-0 going into that game in this hypothetical. You're already getting a bye because you're going to be locked into the 1 seed already. I'm not worried about playing my starters in week 17 or week 18 for the 17th game of the season at that point because I know I would already be getting the bye.
I know, but if you're undefeated,
no, that's what I'm saying. You play your starters the last week.
Yeah.
You cannot take that opportunity away from the players that busted their ass all year in a year in which you're already trying to make history for
this
a three-peat.
This came with Belichick. He played your starters.
You have to. Plus, you just know you're getting the bye week. So what's then you'd be giving them 2 weeks off in a row. I don't like that. So I don't think it actually will be much of a debate. Now, if someone's hurt, they're going to hold them out. But if you're healthy, I think they would play. That's a fun conversation we can have a month and a half, 2 months from now, if they're in that position, right? I would love to have that conversation. But they're in a great spot. It's not just us. Listen to Pete Prisco over at CBS Sports, who in the past used to be viewed as a Chiefs hater, I must say. But this was Pete Prisco talking about...
People can change.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe even Mike Florio one day. Maybe.
No, not him.
No, okay.
He actually can't. He's the exception.
Pete Prisco was asked yesterday. When's the first Chiefs loss coming?
Buffalo. Late in the season, it's going to be the Bills. That's the only one I can see where they'd have a chance to lose. The rest of those, they run the table. If they win against the Bills, they will run the table and go undefeated. I do not see a threat there. Like B-Mac said, they have the quarterback. When he has to do it, he can do it. He's not putting up gaudy numbers, but he has to go get points. He can go get them. And that defense is playing lights out. They're outstanding. Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. Andy Reid and that group are great offensive minds. They're the team to beat, and they have a real chance to go undefeated.
Wow. Understandably so, everybody's looking at the Bills game as the make or break of, well, if we have a real conversation about this team making history and going on that kind of run. You get through that one, absolutely. I think if they get through that one, at minimum, they're winning 15 games.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
If they get to the Bills, I'm 50-50. 50% chance, maybe better.
50-50.
Dude, they beat 10-0. Look at the remaining schedule.
I know. 50-50 that they
50-50 that they go undefeated. 50-50.
Yeah, those won't be the implied odds, I don't think. But yeah, but that's
implied odds. I guess that would
probably
mean
bump
it
it
would
up
have
to
to be
25
plus 110. It would
yeah,
have to be even money.
Yeah, it's not going to be even money.
Not going to be even money.
It might get to 7-1. It might get to 7-1. Right, it might bump it up to 30-something or 40%.
What's funny is like the funny thing about 11-1 is you should never bet that if you think they're going undefeated. You should instead bet the Chiefs on the money line today, take the winnings, bet them on the money line next week, take the money line, bet them on the
Correct.
You would be getting better odds and earn more money by just taking that money and betting them even money or even minus money on the money line the rest of the way in perpetuity.
Yeah, the problem only is because some of these are bad opponents. Like the Chiefs are minus 550 this week, so you bet 100, you're only winning $18. So that's the only problem. Is like, okay, so you're. Yes.
But you take that 118. You take the money you bet too. And
I hear you.
Roll it. I'm just saying you would make more money doing it that way than just betting $100 on Kansas City right now at 11-1.
The big one would be the Bills game today, because otherwise they're going to be minus 200 money line almost every game, if not minus 500. Like against the Panthers, they're going to be probably minus 800 on the money line. So the rollover thing works. I don't know if it'll.
I think it would turn a bigger profit.
Yeah, I think.
It might not be significant, but I do think it would turn a bigger profit, especially if you just say you take the winnings and continue to bet them.
Someone's going literal on you, they said on the text line. It's always 50-50. Either they do or they don't. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
look,
sure.
this is not Schrodinger's cat. I don't think we need to either say, like, until the box is opened, the cat is either alive or dead. I understand the logic, but I'm just saying... if you had to bet it, what would you say?
913-586-7965. Someone from the 417 says, Andy would never play the starters in Week 18. Chance for injury is too great.
I think this would be the one exception.
We've never seen Andy in this hypothetical in this spot where he has a team that has a chance to have a perfect season. I don't. He's also a player's coach, is he not? So I don't think he would take that away. Now, if you're, let's just pick a random Chiefs player. If they're undefeated heading into the Broncos game somehow, and I'll just use Nick Bolton. Sorry, Nick Bolton's got an injury and he's a little banged up during practice. Yeah, they're not going to play that guy because of that. But if you're healthy, I think they would. If they're up 3 touchdowns with 10 minutes to go, yeah, they're going to pull the starters or whatever. Like that kind of stuff, sure. But I think we can't act like we could use prior history of how Andy handles Week 18 for the hypothetical that we're discussing, which is an undefeated season. I think all bets are off at that point.
Bill Belichick has been team rest his entire coaching career. They got the bye a bunch of times. He rested his players in Week 17, Week 16, all the time. When they had a chance to go undefeated, he didn't do it. It's just you have to make and I'm not against that. I understand an injury could occur, and then you would wonder if you had made the right decision. But when you're doing something like that, if that even comes up, because we're 6 games into the season, but it's a combination. The Chiefs' schedule is part of the reason I think we could ask that question now. Like, what percentage chance? I'm not saying they're going undefeated. I would not bet that at the moment. You're asking me what chance I give them to do it? Yeah, you and I'm a little higher than you, but I think we're in the same general area. It's a 1 in 10 shot. It's a 1 in 20 shot that the team is still capable of doing it. Meanwhile,
how do you feel after watching last night?
Well, so last night was funny because there were 2 things. The Chargers now have 3 losses, which means everyone in the AFC West already has 3 more losses than the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have played 6 games. So the AFC West is done. I know we normally do this conversation. Last year, you said I called it too early. Even you would not tell me I called it too early this year. You also agree the AFC West is done.
Yeah, that's why
it's a lock.
6-1 preseason bet. We talked about for the Chiefs to sweep the AFC West. We're 6-1. Love that bet. I think it's absolutely in play. Already the win against the Chargers. The Chargers have come back down to earth. I still think Harbaugh has that thing headed in the right direction. And this is not the typical offseason crap that we hear every year. I actually believe he's a hell of a coach. And when they get some more bodies in there, next year they'll be a little bit more of a problem. But this year they just don't have any bodies to be competitive against the top tier teams.
Joshua
in the
Palmer's
AFC.
Their number one. They're just never going to make it work.
Yeah, and Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey, who's a rookie, are your top targets. And then you have a defense that's not nearly the same level as some of these other teams. We know the Chiefs have their wide receiver room problems, but their defense is also the best defense in football. Meanwhile, the Ravens are going to be the team that everybody's going to keep talking about.
I don't want to see them again in the postseason. If you give me any team that I get to avoid in the postseason, even though that they've no-showed in January and February a lot, pass. Pass on the Ravens. That's the scariest team in the AFC. That's not the
Lamar
Chiefs.
is playing like the best player in football right now.
Again.
He's doing that. And it's, by the way, it's okay to admit that he's been the best quarterback and best player in football right now. The Chiefs have beaten him twice since January. So it is fine to admit that for those that are like, I'm freaking out that you said that out loud. It doesn't matter. Is he playing that way in January? We all know that. And in late January in particular. That's the question for him. But right now he's playing better than anybody else.
He's the MVP favorite as of this morning, and for good reason.
And it makes what the Chiefs did to them in week 1 that much more impressive. The fact that they were able to squeeze out a victory against Lamar Jackson and company. It's the number 1 rush offense, the number 1 rush defense. Their pass defense has not been good. They're like 28th or whatever. Now, last night, they were pretty darn good against Baker Mayfield, multiple interceptions, and then late in the game, it got away from the Bucs with the injuries as well. But the Ravens are scary. I mean, the Chiefs don't fear anybody, right? They're the Kansas City Chiefs. But to your point, yeah, if I had to pick one team I don't have to play in the postseason right now, yeah, Baltimore, sure. I think that's fair. The good news is the way it's trending, I think Baltimore, Kansas City is going to be the one. So there's a good chance it'd be an AFC title game again. I don't think you're going to get stuck with them in a divisional round game the way it's pacing right now.
The only thing that makes you feel this way, because again, only one quarterback who's active in the league has gotten Mahomes in a single game, and it was Burrow. And I don't fear them the same way because they're not a very good team. And if you made me rank right now the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, Joe Burrow would still be behind Lamar Jackson and behind Josh Allen. He'd be behind both of those quarterbacks. He's not better than either of those quarterbacks. So if you force me in a game where I'm choosing the better quarterback, Burrow's behind both of those guys, and both of those guys are on a better team. And so, yeah, if I'm trying to avoid him, the only thing that's always funny about the Ravens is they look like this a lot under Lamar Jackson.
Then come playoff
in the
time,
early
what happens?
part of the year. And I don't know if it's just like what he had said, right? Remember when he had said, I was tired. His legs were kind of shot.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't moving the same. And that's why he lost the weight and did all this stuff. I think he's trying to stay fresher for the end of the season. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like Lamar Jackson in October. He's a terrifying Terminator full of just beating everybody in the NFL down. But in January, it's fine. And the fact that their number 1 strength on offense is their ability to run the ball. And I think the Chiefs have one of the best run defenses in the NFL and have already shut down this rush offense. The only team in the league this year to shut down the Ravens rushing attack was the Kansas City Chiefs. It's kind of hard to fear. I don't fear them. Like you said, I don't fear anyone. But I think it'd be kind of foolish to not look at that Ravens team and be like, damn, they're real good.
Yeah, no, they're very, very good. Well coached. Everything we've acknowledged about them. They're going to be right back in the picture come January as well. But once again, the storyline will be how do they perform? You get in a game to not just Lamar wearing out, taking all the hits that he takes, but does Harbaugh stick to the game plan, right? Is he willing to stick to what they should do going in? We all know that was the huge story out of the AFC title game. Why didn't they pass the football? Why didn't they run the football, right? They barely ran the ball against Kansas City in that AFC title game, and what a mistake that was. You would like to say, there's no way they'll do that again, but for whatever reason, in the playoffs, in the game, it's a lot easier said than done, I guess, to stick to your game plan, and the Ravens were not able to do that.
How many times they handed off again,
the difference, too, is that was their shot. Lamar is playing incredibly, but it was in their building, too. The Bills thought also the Chiefs are in their build. We got them this time. We all know the story. The Chiefs went on the road throughout the playoffs, except for the wild card round. This year, it sure looks like the road will once again go through Arrowhead. The way it is pacing, I get it. We're only in week 8 of the season, but it's looking like everybody's going to have to come through Arrowhead again.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's the way it's headed. Again, they've already got a 2-game lead, and we're 7 weeks into the NFL season. Now, there's still plenty of time left for that to catch, but 2 of the teams that could catch you, you already have a win against. Well, one of the teams, I guess, you already have a win against in Baltimore. The only other 2 that could catch you really are Buffalo and the Texans. You'll play both of them, so you can handle your business against them. Even if you lose to one, they're still going to have to make up the other game. And the Bills are the only team who have an easier schedule remaining than Kansas City. And so, yeah, I watched that game, and I watched Lamar. I was like, damn, Lamar's going to win the MVP again. Yesterday we were talking about it, and you're like, I mean, are they going to give it to the award 2 times in a row? Always a fair question. The voters don't like doing that. When you get 5 touchdowns and no picks, and
yeah, that's my only hesitation.
300 yards.
My only hesitation with Lamar is, are voters willing to do that? When if Josh Allen ends up performing as close, or if Jared Goff wins the division and comes up close, that would be the one thing. But if we're just saying who's the best player in football right now, or the best quarterback performance-wise right now, Lamar's playing better than any other quarterback in football currently. 7 now 8, heading into week 8 of the NFL season.
The thing with him, though, was perfect.
Very similar. That's happening again in November or December. It's happened 2 straight years.
In order for the Chiefs to get a little bit better, because one thing that stood out about the Ravens last night is they're taking the ball down the field. I get jealous, Gold, of other teams who throw the ball physically down the field toward their players. I don't know if I'm just off, and maybe that connection's never going to happen. I think we're like a week, maybe 2. That Worthy connection's going to hit, right? Obviously, Worthy is getting open down the field. It feels like it's so close to clicking. Mahomes was at fault this last time. Yep. He overthrew him. He overthrew him by a few yards. And look, he heaved that thing because I don't think he thought he could overthrow. Xavier Worthy was part of it.
I thought Worthy also hesitated a little bit, I honestly. But
he did, but maybe a little. But also put a little air under it because Xavier Worthy had 4 yards of clearance. You can give him more space than you gave him to make sure he gets under that football based on his speed and ability. I think it's coming. I think the deep game is there. They are clearly trying it. It looks exactly like training camp. They have continuously made at least one deep throw towards Xavier Worthy in every single game. I have a hard time imagining that for the remainder of the 11 games on their regular season schedule, they won't eventually find it. Unless you just think Mahomes is a straight up bad deep ball thrower. I think he's he's the best deep ball thrower, but I also don't think he's bad at it.
I think so much of this equation still, though, is the offensive line, and are the tackles going to hold up? For those plays to develop, to have the time to take a shot down the field like that, Mahomes has to trust that his offensive line is going to be able to protect, and they have to be able to protect for those plays to also hit. On that particular one, that wasn't the offensive line's fault or anything like that. That was, as you said, Patrick Mahomes overthrew Xavier Worthy. Do I think they're going to connect on one here in the next couple of weeks? Yeah, probably so. I mean, I find it hard to believe that they're just not going to connect all year on a pass like that. Do I think it's going to be something consistently, like we're going to see 3 straight weeks in a row they're connecting on 50-plus yard passes? Probably not. But so much as this is whether or not Wanya Morris and Jawan Taylor, to me, give Patrick Mahomes the time for that play to develop. I know Worthy's going to be able to beat somebody in terms of straight line speed going down the field. That I don't doubt. But does he have enough time to get him the football?
I guess the only other issue is, the time, and now that there's even no Juju Smith-Schuster, do you just put a safety over the top of him every time? Do you just cover the back end of Worthy and be like, well, it ain't ever going to be that play. You better figure something else out because we're not going to let Worthy get single coverage down the field when you don't even have Juju Smith-Schuster to throw to.
Well, this goes back to the go trade for a wide receiver conversation, to at least better the wide receiver room where there's some threat underneath from somebody.
I kind of thought we should wake up this morning and they should, it's not even just do it now. What are we waiting for? Pay the price. Pay the premium. Call whoever the hell you got to call. Make a deal happen already. There's no more need to waste time on this one.
I'm with you, but also at the same time, we say it all the time. It takes 2 to tango, and it's either team willingness and compensation, but also are the Panthers willing to trade Deontay Johnson right now? Adam Thielen is still hurt. Is that someone the Chiefs maybe actually think is a target? He's still banged up at last check. Is Darius Slayton actually available? So knowing that the deadline's not till November 5th, I would like a new wide receiver in yesterday. But it's not as simple always as, hey, Brett Veach, force them to trade with you. You can't force them.
I know.
So you can keep calling, you can keep checking. But some of those teams may be reluctant. Even the Rams with Demarcus Robinson, once they see, that Puka's a week away from coming back or something, to go with Cooper Kupp, maybe they're in that division. They're not out of it. The Rams are 2-4, but the Niners have 3 wins. The Rams are absolutely still alive in the NFC West. Yeah, so that's why they may not be willing to punt on it. Even someone like Demarcus Robinson. So I think that's the challenge with pulling off a trade right now as well.
I mean, there is part of me that says, if Brett Veach and Andy Reid are not panicked about it, like if they're not doing it so fast that they're like, oh God, if we don't do this, we're screwed. Should I be should I be as pushy? Brett Veach has taken his time before. He's found players before. Maybe I should just be patient.
Up next, we'll get our viNFL insiders' thoughts on the Chiefs in this NFL slate. First time here in 2024, our viNFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino, stops by.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
At Main Street Credit Union, your success is our goal. Whether you're a financial rookie or a pro, we're here to help. If you're looking to pay down debt, improve your credit score, or buy a car, we'll be right there with you. We're dedicated to providing guidance, education, and essential resources to empower you on your journey toward financial success. We'll help you understand your financial options so even financial rookies will be on their way to reaching their goals. Go to mainstreetcu.org for more information.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Something big is happening at Hy-Vee. We've just lowered thousands and thousands of prices on thousands and thousands of items in every aisle and in every department. Online, too. And on many of your favorite products, we've even matched prices with some of the biggest discount stores in the country. Because we get it, times are still tough. So we'll continue to work hard to bring you new lower prices on thousands of items. Things are looking different at Hy-Vee. Come see for yourself.
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. This year, I get to host, and Hy-Vee's going to make it convenient for me. They have made fresh, ready to heat and serve favorites like succulent turkey, honey glazed spiral ham, prime rib, savory side dishes, and dessert. Hy-Vee's Taste of the Holidays event is coming up Saturday, November 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can sample all of the amazing ready-to-serve meal pack options or just get a little holiday inspiration. This holiday season, let Hy-Vee do the cooking while you take the credit. Only at Hy-Vee.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
After my car wreck, there was a lot I didn't know.
I do know. My team knows injury law. We can help you understand all of your legal rights so that you don't get cheated.
DM Law knew what to do and got me $150,000 for my car wreck.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Fall's coming. You have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve, so this fall make a plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined, as always, by my co-anchor, Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down to T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel, chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2. At T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
24 monthly bill credits. Eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits, and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement too. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Using the Labor Day weekend to get some work done? We got you. Stop by any store to save on oil, fuel system cleaner, wipers, and more. Looking for an end of summer wash? We've got deals for that too. Don't want to leave the garage? Get same-day delivery on AutoZone.com. Do Labor Day your way by getting something done at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Brought to you by Gomer's. 5 locations in the KC Metro or online at gomers.com.
Stock up for your tailgate or Halloween party with Gomer's. 5 great locations in the Kansas City Metro. Voted KC's #1 liquor store in Kansas City again for 2024. Excellent in price, selection, and service. 5 locations in the KC Metro and online at gomers.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Just getting started here on a Tuesday. It is Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp,
You know the day of
Drew
the week
Nixon.
now.
I got
Congrats.
the day correct. It is not Thursday, even though we wish it was, because we'll be out in Vegas beginning on Thursday. Broadcasting live from Circa is going to be an incredible time, including our happy hour event going on Friday, heading into Chiefs and Raiders. If you want an RSVP for that event, just text in 913-586-7965, and we will make sure we get you a link for that. Real quick news during the break, though, a little update from Jeremy Fowler, Cody, on Jalen Watson. As expected, he's going to undergo surgery in the next couple days for a broken ankle after tests confirmed the injury. He did go on to say, outside chance he's back for a late playoff push, according to a source, but his season very well could be over. So add him to the list of guys that maybe AFC title game type thing.
It's kind of like every player on the Chiefs right now.
Although the next up returning looks like could be Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, and Isaiah Pacheco. But that's the latest on the injury front.
He's had songs written about him without asking for it.
Pasquantino, I want it. Now it's time for Pasquantino.
Mythological creatures and sandwiches have been named after him.
Beefy and Italian.
And he also thought the Devontae Adams trade was going to save the Jets.
The damn Jets.
Welcome back to the show, our viNFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino.
That's right. It's been a little bit, but our viNFL insider has returned here in the 2024 season. Vinny, good morning. What's going on, man?
Good morning, guys. You guys are going to Vegas this weekend, and nobody told me. Nobody told me that, so I guess you won't have live insider access in Vegas because nobody told me.
Are you a big Vegas guy? Didn't you guys go there for someone's bachelor party on the team?
Yeah, my bachelor party. Yeah, I mean, Vegas is great in like a 2-3 day span. Any longer than that's probably a little too much.
Yeah, I think that is accurate. We were there for a week for the Super Bowl, and that was too much. That was a little bit much. But no, we're looking forward to heading out there. I do want to get your perspective on the NFL, but real quick, I think we can get like one baseball thing just out of the way. Just we were thrilled that you made it back, man, to get him to play in the postseason. Obviously, after the thumb injury, I imagine the past month or two has just been kind of a crazy ride for you.
Yeah, it's been insane. We put a lot of work in to get back for the playoffs, and we were able to do it. So it was really special to bring Kansas City, playoff baseball again. There's been a lot of playoffs in this town over the past few years, but only on one side of the street. So I'm glad we were able to cross the parking lot a little bit and get some playoff baseball back. We're hopeful for a lot more of that to come in the future. We just got to keep pushing forward.
We obviously want to ask football. How close was Rich Eisen to stealing you as our viNFL insider? I felt like he was asking you a lot of football questions, Vinny. It felt like Rich might be playing for you.
Yeah, you never know what could happen in this world. So we'll see. There's still talks being negotiated around. Maybe I go national. I do a regional, local show, and then I go national once a week too. We'll see what happens.
I know you were doing a live stream with Brent Rooker for the was it the ALCS or the NLCS last week?
For the ALCS, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I knew you guys were doing that, so that is fun to keep an eye on as well, Vinny. Let's talk about your Jets for a second, though. You heard the intro. I don't know if that's actually what you thought or not, but we thought it sounded good. That you thought. Did you think Davante Adams was going to save the day?
No, I don't think anybody can currently save the day. What they need to do is just stack wins because it's all they can do. So 2-5. The season looks bleak. It's not over, but it looks bleak right now. There's just a lot of bad vibes coming out of the Meadowlands right now, and I don't love to see it, but I'm going to be there every step of the way. So I hope it turns around. I've turned it around in Madden to make myself feel better. So in Madden, there's a dynasty being built up in New Jersey, but right now it looks bleak. Things look bleak, but hopefully start a one-game winning streak on Sunday against the Patriots.
I guess the frustrating part is Chiefs players in the Chiefs division probably feel the same way. But is it getting to the point as a Jets fan where you're like, the Bills, every time, no matter what they do, they just find some different way to win? Because they've been the second most consistent franchise in the AFC short of the Chiefs. Right. Yeah. They are a really good team. And it kind of goes hand in hand, similar with the Chiefs, of if you have a top three quarterback in the world, you're gonna be all right. So it just turns out that the quarterback that's in Kansas City knows how to win a little bit more than the quarterback that's up in Buffalo. So it's definitely special to see. It's tough facing the Bills twice a year, but like you said, there's a bunch of teams in the AFC West that wish they could not have to face the Chiefs 2 times a year. So it's definitely tough with those games, but I think they're the most fun because they mean a little bit more. You notoriously said, "Who gives a bleep? We're winning games." Is that how you feel about the people complaining about Patrick Mahomes' stat line? 100%. Who cares about a stat line if the big stat line says 6-0? Isn't that the only thing that matters, especially once you've been paid? So, who cares? 6-0 is 6-0. Anybody complaining about that, in my opinion, is I don't want to call anybody dumb, but I think that's... No, it is dumb, Vinny. It is dumb. Yeah. If you say for you. I don't know. If the Chiefs are complaining about something, then every single team in the league are complaining about way more than that. So in this world, we like to complain. I get it. I like doing it too. But 6-0 is 6-0. There's one team that's 6-0. That team is the Kansas City Chiefs. So good for them. We're talking to our viNFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino, here on 96.5 The Fan. 96.5 The Fan. That's right. On FM radio. That's right. This is the first time we've had you as an insider on FM. I hope you got the massive check in the mail. It comes with a raise for everybody. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I'll keep waiting for it, but I'll just keep waiting. You can just meet us in Vegas. He'll just give it to you in person, you know? Yeah. You got free time, you could just catch a flight on Wednesday. See us on Thursday, you know? That's perfect. Yeah. But going back to the Patrick Mahomes a little bit, obviously the stats are down, and they're winning football games. When you see this offense right now, we've said it almost is, I think, a shot towards fans. They take it as a shot towards fans when we say this, but the Steelers and the Chiefs, man, right now are very similar football teams in the way they're winning. Except that one team has not lost and the other team can't figure out who their quarterback is.
That might be the only difference. But I don't know. I think I disagree.
Well, just the way they're winning. I guess what I'm saying. I think people get like, obviously Patrick Mahomes. Everybody would take him over Russell Wilson. Nobody's debating that. The point I think is just that the Chiefs are not putting up 30 plus a game. They're relying heavily on their defense. They're making mistakes still, and yet they just find ways to win because they're well coached. But yes, not to the extreme.
Well, I guess my question to that would be, who is scoring 30 points a game? I know that there's, the Lions are scoring a bunch, and the Saints early in the season scored a bunch of points, but I'd rather just win. Like, it sounds so dumb, I guess, but there was a lot of talk this week about Brock Purdy and who he's throwing to, and this is not to begrudge anybody, but who is Mahomes throwing to?
Right.
I haven't heard anybody really say that. Everybody's going down. You start the season with your guys, and it's not to mean that anybody else aren't your guys, but you trade for Juju or you pick up Juju, who got cut by New England, and then he gets hurt this week, and he's kind of expected to be your one this week. Worthy's done a pretty good job. Teams are just shutting Kelsey down right now, and Kareem Hunt is like your best player. So at the end of the day, it's 6-0, so who cares? You find ways to win. I'd rather find ways to win than find ways to lose, because the team that I like, they find ways to lose games, and that hurts bad. So finding ways to win games is way better.
Do you think the AFC West is already over? The Chiefs already won it.
Yes. Yeah, it's over. It's probably the easiest bet in football is that the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West year in and year out.
I mean, it doesn't even seem like it's like – I feel that way about, sadly, your division as well. I'm not going to say – the AFC East feels kind of over too.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the Jets are probably in the best position other than the Bills to win the division, and the Jets are not in a very good position at all to win the division. So I would say that the Bills are probably more of a lock than the Chiefs to win their division.
Vinny, on the flip side, on the NFC, you had mentioned the way the Lions are playing. Do you think they're the best team in the NFC?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they played a 5-0 team who I think – I don't know about you guys, but I had the Lions winning that game. I know they won, field goal late, but they were really good. They lost one of their best players, probably a guy who's a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year, but they're a very well coached team. You could tell that their offense is firing on all cylinders. I mean, I think Jared Goff is probably, up there in MVP talk this year. The guy,
for sure.
He's been really good. So yeah, I think they're one of the toughest teams to match up with in the NFC right now, just because they do a lot of things really, really well, and they're just really tough. Similar to the Chiefs in that aspect, they're just tough.
How's the fantasy football league looking? I know you got a bunch of your teammates in one of the leagues. I'm sure you've got a couple leagues out there.
Pretty good. I've got one juggernaut team. I've got two teams that absolutely suck. I've got a pretty good team and then another team. So I'm all over the map when it comes to my teams, but at least I got one good one going.
Is that the one with Zach Greinke? Did he stay in the league?
I think he isn't. No, he's not in that league that I'm really good. One of the teams that I'm really bad in, he's in that league.
I'm just remembering when you offered him a trade live on the air, and he responded inside of 10 seconds, no thank you.
Oh, yeah, he's locked in at all times.
Like, the idea that he's that – are you that dedicated to your fantasy football team, or is it just like I'll get to it when I get to it?
A little bit of both. If you catch me at the right time. Like last night, Kyle Isbell just kept sending me trades, and I kept declining them, declining. It was probably 8 trades in about a minute, and then he finally sent one that I liked, so I just accepted it.
Oh, so it worked.
No conversation. It was just send me trades, and I'll accept or decline.
What was the swap so we can decide if it's a good one?
I gave Brock Bauer that's his name, right? Brock
Bowers,
yeah. Sorry, that was weird. When I said his name, it didn't feel right. I gave Brock Bowers and Cortland Sutton for Kareem Hunt and Evan Ingram.
You need running back help, I take it? That makes sense if you do.
I needed some running back help, and Brock Bowers has been unbelievable. I just don't trust anything that the Raiders are doing quarterback-wise right now, and Evan Ingram, when he plays, leads the Jags in targets normally. So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Before we let you go, real quick, we found out a hidden talent of our producer yesterday, which apparently he's produced for us, Drew, for a year, and we just learned he can beatbox. So one, did you ever do that? And two, what's the hidden talent?
No, I think doing that is really cool. I think, sorry, a little under the weather. Beatboxing is making noises, right?
Yes.
Drew, give a little sample for a second, please.
For Vinny.
Come on.
Okay.
That's music right there. I think beatboxing's pretty good. I think the ability to just like rap on a thought is crazy to me. I don't know how musicians do it. That's probably the coolest special talent in my opinion, because I have no idea how creative people are that they could just rap whatever they want at any given time.
I feel the same way about hitting a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, but that's fair. I guess it's a two-way street, you know?
Yeah, you know, hey, things happen. So,
well, we'll see you in Vegas in a couple days, sounds like, so appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you'll see me there for sure.
Okay, we'll talk to you next week. There you go.
Right,
That's Vinny Pasquantino, our viNFL insider, joining us on Cody and Gold. Look, he's always invited on our Vegas trips. Always.
The next time we go, we actually should invite him if it's in the offseason, because his bachelor party was in Las Vegas. So we have to assume he likes Vegas at least a little bit, right?
Who doesn't? I mean, come on.
Well, some people have never been. We found out Dusty had never been. Or no, it was not Dusty.
No,
it was
Kramer.
Kramer had said he'd never been. Right? Some people, just haven't made the trip. That was your first time to Vegas when we went during Super Bowl week, right, Drew?
That was the first time
21.
over 21.
Oh,
yes,
that's right.
I'd
Well,
been one other time.
Then it was your first time going to Vegas. Like, I don't think it counts.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was not much that I did as a 11-year-old in Las Vegas. No, there wasn't much. That was more like a quick stop than a.
Sounds like Vinny as a Jets fan is definitely just come to the realization, of like where they're at. That there is nobody,
and I respect
nobody else to go and fix this mess that is the Jets at this point.
Like, it just wasn't, you know how it is. It just wasn't going to, it just was never going to work. And it's not going to work. At least he's turning around in his Madden franchise. What'd you think of his fantasy football trade? Tough giving up Brock Bowers right now as a very good player. Is it a keeper league?
If he actually needs running back help, he said he does, then I get it. Because Kareem Hunt, my only concern is that when Pacheco comes back, does the workload get split? But for now, if he needs help right now, I get it. Brock Bowers, if it's not a keeper league, I like it. If it's a keeper league, I think he made a mistake. If it's not a keeper league, you're good, because I think Brock Bowers is going to end up being a top 5 tight end for a very long time.
They also take on the Raiders this week, or the Chiefs this week, and the Chiefs are not good statistically. They might be the worst. They might give up the most points to fantasy tight ends in the NFL, would be my guess. Now, that doesn't stop them from winning, but just from a fantasy perspective. But then he's not wrong after that. Because at some point, because there's no one else to throw to for the Raiders, they'll all just decide the Travis Kelce treatment. We'll quadruple team Brock Bowers if you have no one else to throw to.
913-586-7965. Also on Twitter, at Drew B. Nix, at Cody B. Tap, at Alex Gold. Got a couple texts. Got someone that just tweeted in, said, Drew can beatbox? Basically with the emoji or the gif of like, excuse me? What? I'm shocked.
We didn't know.
We learned yesterday with all of you as well.
We'll give Nate Taylor a chance to listen to a full version of it.
Drew, you got 30 seconds, 60 seconds of it for the 1 o'clock hour?
I've got 30 seconds in.
30 seconds, we'll take. That feels like a long
seconds,
time.
100%. I will say this, on the way home, I was doing some beatboxing because I was I was like, let me see if I can go how exhausted I am after a minute. And
why don't you freestyle over his beatbox?
So I can impress Vinny with creating a rap in the top of my head to go with it. I'm like, I got that kind of flow, man. I'll try, but it's going to have to be.
A lot of people want you to do a Vinny and the Jets off of, obviously, Vinny and the Jets. Could you do that?
To what? Just talk about how sad it is to be a Jets fan?
We've gone from complaining to hear about your songs to having requests done for you,
It
Cody.
comes and goes.
I think that's
it
good.
comes and goes.
It's in waves. Let's just accept that it's in waves.
Take it.
Some people are supportive of
People said on FM, beatboxing on FM radio sounds better than on AM. So.
I bet it does. I bet it sounds a lot better.
Someone says Cody and Drew for the show fun need to go to downtown dressed in 90s hip hop clothes.
Collecting.
Yes. I have an Adidas tracksuit. So like I've got the jacket and the pants, I guess. So one gold chain and I'm pretty much Run DMC. Like, I mean, I'm like pretty much halfway there, you know?
I'm trying to be Vanilla Ice, yeah.
You should dress up as Vanilla Ice or Eminem or something, Drew,
with the hair,
for Halloween.
You
with the hair you have right now.
I am.
And then just be beatboxing.
I'm interested to see. I'm getting the haircut today. I'm getting my first haircut. It's been over a month since I got it.
Has it been a month since we did that to your hair?
Yeah, it's been 5 weeks, I think.
Okay.
I can't believe it's been that long. Starting to grow out a little bit.
You got the hat on today. You got the hat on today, but
that's because it looks a little bit messy. But yeah, it's going to be cut, and I don't think you could see the brown. The brown is at the roots. The brown is starting to come back.
It's not as orange. I'll give you that. It's not as orange as what it was.
Thankfully,
before.
yeah.
You might need to just buzz it. Just buzz it.
Well, it's too late now because if I buzz it, it's brown at the roots again. So I think I don't know how much blonde there actually.
Well, it's been a month. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, nobody said you had to keep it blonde
you
forever.
Don't have to keep it blonde forever. You're good. You owe us.
You
the
paid
blondes,
off the bet.
Yeah, you're.
I mean, I don't mind it this way. I'm just gonna keep it this way until it grows out. I haven't buzzed my head since.
I don't think I've ever had a buzz cut.
It's been a long,
I think maybe in
long time.
Maybe third grade or something.
Middle school, I think.
That.
Is
kind of really. I don't know if it was a true buzz cut as much as it was just very short, but I don't know if it falls into that category.
Yeah.
But definitely not in the last 20 years. I'll tell you that. 25 years.
I know coming up here in just a little bit, we'll talk about what grade we'd give Mahomes because I wanted to ask Vinny about that, which is, do you care? You famously said in April, I don't care who gives a bleep, we're winning games, which is how Chiefs fans should feel about it. But I thought that something happened over college football this weekend that sets a very dangerous precedent.
Yep.
It was bad news, in my opinion, that Texas fans were able to, through a big enough fit on the field that refs eventually looked at and then overturned a call. They got the call right. I want to be clear there. It was not pass interference. It should have been an interception. It should have been the call that they eventually changed it to. You should not let drunk college students bully you into changing a call. That is a bad idea.
Yeah, so real quick, basically, there was a play in which there was a ball that was intercepted. They return it for a touchdown, does Texas. They go nuts. They were not playing well before that. Big momentum swing, all of that. They rule DPI. Everybody freaks out. It was a terrible call. Meanwhile, students throw water bottles and other things onto the field. Sark, the head coach of Texas, is running over there, telling them to calm down. While this is all going on, it's delayed. I don't know, 5 minutes or so, guys, the game?
About, yeah.
And then the SEC officials are huddling up, and they're talking, and all of a sudden, they're like, after further review, there is no defensive pass interference. It is a touchdown. Like, wait. Yes, it was the right call, but you cannot have 5 or 7 minutes of delay because the students caused the delay, and then you had the SEC come down and say, hey, by the way, you guys screwed that call up. You might want to correct that thing. Now, it didn't change the game necessarily in terms of the result. Georgia was the better team throughout that entire game and deserved the win. But that is dangerous. Like, if you're a student section, especially in the SEC, there's a controversial call later in the year.
Now you got to throw a fit.
Might as well delay it a little bit, see if there's a chance. Delay it. Give
maybe
5,
they'll look.
Maybe
Give them a
they'll look at the video board for another 5 minutes or whatever. Because if there is no water bottles thrown on the field, they do not reverse that call.
I think you treat this the way that they've done for other sports, including college basketball, which is it's a penalty. You throw a fit, you delay the game, it's 15 yards for your team. You better either figure this out or we are going to punish your team for it. We've seen this before. They've talked about it with court storming or other things like punish them. The SEC has penalties for horns. Remember they had a penalty in the Big 12 for horns down for a minute? Like, oh, we're going to penalize the fans do horns down? Like, come on. Just punish them. It's pretty simple. Punish the fans, punish the team for the fans' decision. And I know you could say, whoa. The team had nothing to do with it. Well, get your fans in check. That's the thing. It's on your job to educate the fan base to not throw a hissy fit.
There was a tweet going around. I don't know if this is a real thing, but it was reported, it was rumored to be something where if their fans or their tickets basically got revoked for the rest of the season, if they found out that they
threw trash in the field?
If you could identify who it was, their tickets were revoked.
Good luck identifying.
For the entire
maybe
season.
through AI or something.
Well,
I guess
apparently
they
there were some
face
people
scan
who have gotten text messages like, "Hey, your tickets have been revoked. Like you're not going to games." I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I think it happens one more time because now we've seen the trash thrown on the field thing. A golf ball was thrown at Lane Kiffin, all that other stuff. But I think for this reason, we see it happen one more time. You shouldn't fall into the trap of all of that anyways. If you make the call, I feel like with the way that the college football world is, because in the NFL you can have the league office or whatever say, hey, by the way, replay assistance gives you this. They don't have that in college. So for that, it was literally, as you said, Gold, because they delayed it 5 minutes. The refs probably looked at the scoreboard and were like, dang, we really messed that call up, wanted to correct it. You can't fall into that trap, I don't think. You got to just keep it the same as what you call, because that's an unreviewable play.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, look, I have no issue with them revoking the tickets of people that were throwing water balls on the field.
Oh, no,
we all know,
100%.
like, at Arrowhead, we all know they basically got in the mind of an official, Carl Cheffers, a couple years ago. Nobody was throwing anything on the field. They just booed him, and it forced him to be flustered.
There's no foul in play for a block in the back. Timeout.
That audio never gets old. There's no foul. He sounds like he's just near tears every time.
There's no foul in play for a block in the back. Timeout.
Anytime that I see him, I'm waiting for that version of him to come out again if he's getting booed.
That's how you do it, by the way. You don't throw crap on the field. That's stupid. But that was a bizarre. I had never seen like a 7-minute delay and then reverse a pass interference call like that. I've never seen that before. That was crazy. And then Georgia ended up winning anyway.
Do you think Texas and Oklahoma already hate being in the SEC?
Texas doesn't. They were just number 1 in the country. Texas is fine. Oklahoma is who's going to potentially be the Nebraska of the SEC.
This was a welcome to the SEC week for them, though.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma has a chance to be the Nebraska of the SEC, as what Nebraska's been in the Big Ten.
That's not a good thing.
And it's not a good thing.
No, that's definitely an insult.
Yeah, Texas is fine. Like, Texas is fine. They were number 1 in the country. They just lost to a very good Georgia team. I don't think you should be worried about Texas necessarily. We'll see with Quinn Ewers how things progress. If not, they have Arch Manning, right?
They play Vandy this weekend.
They do.
So.
Putting in Arch Manning late in that game, just adding more fuel to your problem. Putting him in when they put him in just adds a whole nother complexity to that issue.
Up next, we'll get to the 11 o'clock hour. Let's talk more about Patrick Mahomes and where he's at so far this season. Plus, locally, all 3 locals won in college football, but nobody has a bigger game this weekend than the folks in Columbia. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
My name is Michael, and I am a Centric graduate. I was burnt out at my sales job and just going through the motions. I decided it was finally time to stop putting it off and make a change in my life. Centric's hands-on training and FAST program was the step that I needed. I graduated with the certifications and real-world experience to get a career in tech. I got a job and haven't looked back, only to a better future. Don't put it off any longer. Visit Centric.com to take control of your future. That's Centric.com.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-554-6899. That's 800-554-6899. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-554-6899 or go to RepublicTaxRelief.com.
The NBA is back, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants you to catch all the action. Because right now, FanDuel is giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA. I'm really excited to see if the Knicks can back up what they did a season ago. And even the MVP market, where Luka's the favorite at plus 330. If you're new to FanDuel, just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After a 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will automatically be charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering an online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hi, it's Derek Johnson, and I know there's nothing better than being part of a team. A group of great people you can count on and learn from. The Sheep Metalworkers, local number 2, are growing their team and looking for quality men and women who want to build Kansas City's future. While you're making KC a better place, you'll also get great pay and benefits while gaining lifelong skills. Explore the possibilities at sheepmetal2.org. That's sheepmetal2.org. And take a step towards a fulfilling and rewarding way of life.
O'Reilly.
It's Super Start Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get up to a $25 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select Super Start batteries. We'll test your old battery for free and recommend the right battery for your vehicle. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Super Start batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
What's up, KC? It's Trent McDuffie. Catch the play-by-play all season long with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your home of the Chiefs. 96.5, The Fan.
KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City in Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. Coming up in 20 minutes, we'll get to the trash of the day. We're also about 8 minutes away from talking about all three locals in college football. All three got to win, but nobody has a bigger game, period, than the Missouri Tigers this weekend. And we'll talk about the implications of their game. They're in Tuscaloosa this weekend, taking on Alabama. Massive playoff ramifications for both schools, but obviously in particular we'll be talking about Missouri. So that's coming up in a little bit. You can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. And yes, as we've been reminding you guys for weeks and weeks and weeks now, if you're going to be in Las Vegas this weekend for Chiefs and Raiders and you're flying in on Friday, or maybe you're there even earlier, we will be broadcasting live out at Circa Las Vegas Thursday and Friday. Stop by the show. Stop by our happy hour. It's Friday from 7 to 9 there at the Overhang Bar. It's, I think, on the second level of the casino there. It is free to join the party. Just got RSVP. We'll send you a link if you want one still to that same text line. That'll get you a free cocktail. That'll get you to win tickets and transportation to the game on Sunday. That'll also get you entered to win a day bed at the awesome Stadium Swim poolside 143-foot screen watching, let's see, we'll have some NBA action this week while we're there. We'll have, game one of the World Series on Friday night, a lot of college football, and then obviously NFL Sunday as well. So it's going to be a fun weekend out in Vegas. Let's talk about Mahomes in particular, though. We asked Vinny about the grading of his performance, and we've acknowledged, I don't disagree with him, that ultimately winning is all that matters, so I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes. I gave the Steelers comparison just because we have been, and I don't know, maybe I phrased it poorly. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that they're. My point is that comparing them to the Steelers and how they're winning is not a bad thing. People shouldn't be insulted by that, is what I was trying to get at.
Sure.
When it comes to that. To me, they are winning in very similar fashion. Nobody's saying the Steelers are better than the Chiefs. It's the style of how they're winning is all I was trying to say. But for Mahomes, if I were to ask you to actually assign a grade to his performance heading into Week 8, what would that be, knowing everything that's been going on?
So I thought pretty hard about this because I didn't want to just give a flippant answer, and I wanted to give an answer that I thought was true to what I've seen this season out of Patrick Mahomes. This is going to sound really low or really high, I guess, based on the statistical season that he's had, so I understand. A B. And you're like, how, man? How are you going to give a guy who has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on a league average offense, right? Points per game wise? They're probably around league average. I haven't looked so far, but I'm sure that they're around league average again. I understand why you would say that. How can I possibly think that? How is it a B? Because if you look at it, the 13th ranked offense right now, he is throwing to a wide receiver who's cut by the Patriots, a team that stinks, a running back who is a free agent who wasn't even picked up by the Browns, who stink. Justin Watson was cut 3 years ago by the Bucs. I mean, it's his collection of weapons is a cast of misfits, castaways, like Island of Misfit Toys. People, like, there are national people who say Sky Moore doesn't belong on an NFL roster. I mean, it's not a group of wide receivers that would blow you away. The offensive line play's been good. It's been pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. And when you put the collection of people he's been around, honestly, I'm impressed he's played this well. The interceptions is the only reason I wouldn't give it an A. He's thrown, I would say, 4 interceptions. I'd be like, I don't like that one. The other 4 are the normal kind of interceptions that happen in any NFL given season. 2 in the last 2 weeks that have been tipped off a defensive lineman's hand, and 1 when his wide receiver fell down. So sorry, I can explain a few of those away too. There were a couple in the early part of the season. You're like, woof, who was that going to? Outside of that, he's played really good football, I think. They're one of the most efficient offenses at moving the balls in the NFL. And again, they don't have a lot of weapons. A B. It's fine with me.
Yeah, look, I let you go first because you're the professor, as we know. And so we've now determined how tough of a grader you are for your students at UMKC. I think you're a really lenient and
you think I'm too easy?
Thoughtful and understanding grader, which is not a bad thing by any means. Look, some of your reasoning is also where I'm at. I guess graded it a little bit tougher. I said C+ when we were doing this exercise blindly before the show. C+ for me, for the same reasons. Like, factor in who the hell he's throwing the ball to. Let's be real about that. Also recognize, though, that if we're doing a grading scale, like the stats aren't there, but what he did on Sunday in San Francisco is why I don't think you can have him any lower than where I have him, a C+. What I mean by that is,
I think if you're lower than that, you're just, I don't know, not dumb, but like you're just kind of being a hater, I guess. Just wishing for perfection.
What I mean by reason why I don't think it'd be below a C+ is his performance Sunday, where, as we said yesterday, the stat line lies a little bit about the performance, not the season-long stats. Sunday, the game, essentially a game-winning touchdown. At one point, it seemed like a game-winning touchdown, right? But he had the 4th down touchdown. He had the run up the sideline. Those plays are still plays that nobody else is making. I'm sorry. Nobody else at quarterback is making those plays when it matters most. He's the kind of guy that could have 110 yards and 4 interceptions all game. But in the 4th quarter, if I'm still in the game and I have to have a play, I have no doubt in my mind he's making the play. That's why he's so great. So I would say C+ because you still always have that. That's where he's at right now. I don't think you can be any higher than where you're at as a B, though, because at some point you do have to factor in some of the decision-making and things like that. But C+, I think, is actually a pretty fair grade. We can check in on the text line and see where everything's at. Someone from the 816 says it's an A, with the teachers asking you why you didn't show your work and assuming you cheated on the test. We have a perfect score. Someone says a B is too high. There's other quarterbacks dealing with bad teammates. They mean probably just bad players. I don't think bad teammates in terms of that. But Herbert last night is 1. Someone else says C+. Someone else says C. So kind of a mixed bag. Nope. Most people, I think, on the text line are in the same C to B range. You and I are very close, C plus, B minus. However, we're basically the same grade.
Like I asked this on social media last night, and I got answers from 100%, as in I got every answer on the test right, even if, the lead up to it was messy. But I think there are people who understand like the idea that I think most people probably in your range. From the standard he has set for himself, it looks like a C effort. But there are a lot of mitigating factors that I just don't want to ignore. And I know we don't like diving deep into numbers. I know it feels the same way as it does about baseball, where you're like, stop, this is lipstick on a pig. Quit telling me these things are working if the result I'm watching is not. But every statistic outside of, and this sounds so stupid in the moment, I know, points to the fact that the Chiefs are a top 5 to 7 offense in the NFL. Considering the circumstances, that seems good. I think the points differential from the success that they have outside of that relates to the weapon-related problem. The fact that they don't have people they can trust. I'll be honest, I'll just put some of that on Andy Reid. To this day, and probably for the rest of time, Andy Reid gets inside the 20, and he just starts pulling out the weirdest magic tricks in an attempt to try to get it to work. And it works sometimes. Little Carson Wentz handoff thing,
Yeah, but I mean, if we were doing a grade for the coaching staff, it'd be an A+.
Oh, I know. But like in the red zone, I give Andy a B, right? Because he can't help himself, or a C. Because in the red zone, he can't help it. But for the same reasons, that's why I can excuse away the better grade for Patrick Mahomes. I'd say just a solid B. Right in the middle. Maybe we should do this as a segment. I'll just give grades for things, and you can tell me if I'm being
It's time for Professor Tap. His grades for the week.
I actually have to submit my grades update next week.
How things looking so far? Anybody struggling?
A couple struggling in the early going. We'll see.
Are you gonna help them out?
Well, yeah. I mean, part of the point of me putting the grades in is, they have to, they're essentially
Is it just laziness?
PIP. Yeah. I mean, I don't have that many things to turn in.
So
if
laziness.
you don't turn in one thing in my class, you're kind of screwed, or you just don't show up. I got one kid who doesn't show up, and I got a couple people not turning stuff in on time. Other than that,
I thought we said you
great.
work in a doc for attendance.
I said, well, I have to by university laws doc some. Attendance has to be something.
How much?
And I'm pretty lenient on it. I just said, you have to like we do a lot of work in class. You have to be there sometimes.
Yeah. If they can get the projects done without being there, then fine. But if they can't get the projects done without being there,
in this case, it's both.
Okay.
Can't get the work done and not there. Well, then that's just a net loss.
If any of your students are listening, there you go. You heard it from him directly. Oh, damn. Drew, what's the grade you're giving?
Too strong, but
I would say C plus. I think for the reason of them winning the games. I was going to ask you, like, if they're 4-2, still a winning record, and are you still giving him a B?
Or does they're not 4-2.
Well, I know
that's part of my grading.
Well, so somebody said from the 816, I think it's like a group effort. The effort on his part is a B to B plus, but the group project brings his grade down to a C. I think it's the opposite. Mahomes is the C or C plus, but the group project, because they're 6-0,
the group project
makes it. I mean, you could say if you were to grade the Chiefs' season, I would say B plus, A minus. They're undefeated. So I feel like you have to say A minus, but it's not. Mahomes' play is, I would say, C plus. Because I think you guys made the point, I don't know who it was, but
I guess
his standard he set the standard being so high where watching him play, he's making the winning plays where if they're 4-2, I think it's a C minus. I think you could argue that if he's part of the reason they've lost 2 of those games, if it were the case, then he's lower. But I think it's a C plus because he's been the reason, case in point this past Sunday, he makes the play to end up winning the game. I would say C plus.
So here's the question I have, because for the people who give him a C, even you, Gold, or the people who want to give him a grade below that, C plus. C plus. Sorry, I couldn't remember which one it was. C plus.
I need that GPA. I need C plus. I need a C plus.
C plus. Right. C plus. What is it about? This is the question I have for the lower grade. What is it that he is doing that you don't like? The interceptions, it may be an answer. Other than that, what is it about Patrick Mahomes' play that you were bothered by? Because when I watch him play, I'm not like, that's a man doing a lot of things wrong.
No, but that's why he's a C plus and he's not a D. I mean, at some point though, if we're going to say results matter on, hey, they're 6-0,
they haven't lost.
Because there's some people that would just say like, hey, no matter what, if your team's undefeated, based on some of the texts we're getting, you think everybody should just have an A. It doesn't matter. We're just talking about one specific player here. That's why. Obviously, the team is undefeated. Nobody is all that upset with how things are going. But if we're talking about one player, and if your response is, well, they're 6-0, so it's automatically an A, then you're just saying that, like, basically, players' performances don't matter and all that. Like, yes, I know in this like team atmosphere, if I was actually in the locker room, you're
like
right.
A statistic doesn't matter.
My
Sure.
performance wouldn't matter if the team is undefeated. Like in this perfect world where we're talking about just judging one particular player. Like if you're judged for your job and you get graded, like, hey, the company might be doing well, but if your performance sucks, you still get a review. It doesn't mean that your review is automatically going to be great. There is still something to that. To answer your direct question of like, wait, what is it? Yeah, I mean, when you're a quarterback and if we think there has still been some bad decisions made along the way, that's going to weigh heavily. That's all.
Yeah, and I do think some of those picks in the early going, I guess what it is those picks that I thought were like gross, that's just a straight up bad decision. Yeah. Those were weeks 1 and 2. That's not what the interceptions have looked like the last couple of weeks. They're more.
I know, but you asked for the grade for the whole season, not grades week 3 through 6.
For sure. But I think that like what's happening is like he's pulling up his grade because I'm watching him play better over the last few weeks, which is making it easier to do this. And like some of it is like someone's like, well, he's not averaging nearly as many yards. He's averaging like 230 yards per game, 237 yards per game. That is his career low. 30 yards below his career low. Do you know the NFL average is 212 yards per game this year? They are actually currently 11th in passing yards per game. I know that's shocking because it seems like, are they even passing the ball for any yardage at all? And the answer is, yeah, kind of. Some of the teams that are above them are just bad teams and got no choice but to throw, like Dallas. Right, I don't care that they are the Jets. Those are two teams that are above.
A running back to give to.
Good
honestly.
for you for throwing for more passing yards per game when you straight up can't play. The other part is the Chiefs have been playing from ahead a lot. We talk about the Chiefs playing games close. That was for the longest time. The story on Mahomes was he's down 10 and making the comeback. That's not what they've been doing this year. They have been playing up on these teams instead. And when you play ahead on these teams, they can run the ball more. They can play different. All those things are just a little bit.
Last one on this, and we got to move on. So it's a typical professor changing the goalposts after submitting the work and then being upset. We'll get back to this conversation, I'm sure, with Nate Taylor in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's talk some college football, though. All 3 locals did get wins over the weekend. Obviously, KU finally found a way to win against Houston. K-State with Avery Johnson were dominant in their performance out in Morgantown. Missouri survived a very close one against Auburn. Brady Cook went to the hospital mid-game, comes back, leads them on a game-winning drive. I don't really want to talk as much about what happened Saturday. It's already Tuesday. I want to talk about, though, a little bit of just what that win meant because they had Alabama on the horizon, and here we are. The Sunflower Showdown might be taking place with KU and K-State, and I understand it's big for those schools. But nobody has
is it big for Kansas? They haven't won that game since like the 80s.
It's still a big rivalry game. No game is bigger than what Missouri is playing this weekend, though. They're playing Alabama. It's a de facto elimination game for the college football playoff.
That's exactly what it is. The winner of Alabama and Missouri, I would say, has a really good 70-80% chance probably based on each of their remaining schedules to make the college football playoff. It is a massive game, especially because that Alabama game, I mean, that's a top 10 team in the country. That is not going to look like a nothing win on paper for Missouri. They were at one time the number 1 team in the country. It is playing in Tuscaloosa. It is all those things. If you, Missouri, can find any way to beat Alabama, you're going to look that way. Here's the problem. Is anyone convinced Missouri is all that good? Has Missouri at any point this year looked really, really good, like go down to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama good? At multiple times this year, I've been really underwhelmed by Brady Cook. The coming back from the hospital.
Hard to be critical of him right now,
Yeah, the coming back from the hospital and lead the game-winning drive. I got no knock for that. But the other play outside of that, he has looked incredibly mediocre. Doesn't seem like they're good at getting, or good enough at getting a player as good as Luther Burden the ball
Still don't
enough.
think they're coached well in-game.
Agreed. And that's where I'm like, is a not well-coached team in-game going to go down to Tuscaloosa and get the win? It's the biggest game for Missouri probably since that MU-KU game. I don't know. This is a massive game for them. There's probably been 1 or 2 in between that.
I mean, they played an SEC title game and stuff.
Sure,
before,
but I mean, this is right up there with a chance. But even when you're playing the SEC title game, sometimes it's playing for the playoffs, sometimes it's not.
They have you're asking the question, can they go down there and win? Absolutely, they can go down there and win. We all have watched Alabama the last couple weeks. This is not number 2 Alabama with Nick Saban in their heyday. They're a very good team, but this is a game Missouri can win. They obviously have to play a hell of a lot better. But you're right about just like the win resume stuff. The good news is you said like, hey, are they that good? They don't have to be top 4 good.
Top 12
top 12 good is all they have to be. And if they don't have this one, the resume is just not going to be there. They could be a 2-loss team, but it doesn't matter. I mean, like they've
not
got
4 automatic bids for the SEC.
Oklahoma's not any good. We thought at one point, Drew, that was going to be a massive game on the schedule. Oklahoma looks awful, and then it's South Carolina, who will still be a tough game, but they're not the resume builder.
No.
Mississippi State and then Arkansas, like they have to have this one.
Yeah, I think that for the point going into the season, I think the thought was if they have 2 wins, you couldn't picture an SEC team not making it. But with Missouri's schedule, it always depended. I had Gabe DeArmond on the podcast. He covers Missouri. He said it depends on what the 2 losses are, because if they're to A&M and Alabama, and say Oklahoma struggles, which they are struggling, he said say Arkansas isn't as good, or South Carolina. What is your signature win? Where if you go to the committee, if you're Kansas State, you should be. If I were Kansas State, I would be rooting for Missouri in this game, as crazy as it sounds, because if you compare a 10-2 Kansas State team to if you compare an 11-1 K-State team who's beaten an Alabama team, but if Alabama falters, K-State would have a bigger signature win, depending on how things go, than if they're going up against an Alabama team that is 10-2, they're not getting in.
I'm waiting for bloodshed, though. I still think this early in the season. I want anybody to get losses. Like Missouri loses, then it's both teams have 2, right? Alabama lost 2 games.
Alabama has
2
losses already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like in that case, I'm rooting for Alabama. I want losses to stack up for somebody, because
maybe I misheard. So real quick, I just want to make sure. You say you think K-State fans are rooting for Missouri to win?
No, I'm sorry, flip.
Okay,
They want them
that's
to
what I thought you said.
Because that's where I got. You're good. I got confused because I think you maybe said the other.
They both want to have 2 losses.
I'm like, why wouldn't you want Alabama just be knocked out? Like, I had to knock them out, get them to 3. Like
they want Missouri to have 2 because if a 10-2 Missouri team, it's crazy though, because you think SEC compared to Big 12, we're taking the SEC team, but in this. That's where, like, on non-conference, K-State played the harder schedule non-conference compared to Missouri. That's why it matters. And to your point about Brady Cook, I think it was interesting. He hasn't had that one game where people are still – he needs to have a big game. This is that game against Alabama where Brady Cook might have to win the game single-handedly for them. Like, I don't know how good they'll be able to run the ball effectively. They should try to, because they've got a good running back duo. But Brady Cook might have to go and win them this game in Tuscaloosa, in that environment. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's the game of the week, or one of the games of the week for a reason.
He did it in pretty desperate measures last week.
It was really impressive.
It
was really impressive.
Yeah, to me, literally to go to a hospital.
There's been a lot of Missouri fans too that have not been on his bandwagon at all.
If I go to the hospital, I'm not coming back on.
And I think some. I mean, you guys can text in if you're a Tigers fan. I think if you were to admit to yourself, there were some that felt a certain way about Brady Cook. You also not only saw him come back and lead you to a game-winning drive, but your backup, and I understand it's not the normal backup. The other backup is hurt, but seeing the other option at quarterback, you're foolish if you think there's a better option on that roster to be playing quarterback than Brady Cook.
Yeah, Drew
not at all.
Came in and they couldn't move the ball down the field. So against Auburn. So please, yes, Brady Cook is definitely that guy.
Trash of the day.
I bring this one up because we're headed to the airport here in a couple of days. So we go to New Zealand for this one, and they have instituted and posted a sign in the drop-off zone asking passengers and their drivers to limit their farewell hugs to a maximum of 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
This is a real thing. The photo in the sign says, max hug time 3 minutes. For fonder farewells, please use the car park. That's how they call it, the car park over there. Look, so I get it. 1, pretty funny. 2, I've witnessed, you drop a loved one off at the airport. I've witnessed, some people will have, you do the quick hug. Makes sense. No problem with that. You should. Quick hug. You're not going to see them for a little while. They're going on a flight.
Sure.
But I've also seen some people will do maybe, who knows? Maybe they were going to go out of town for 6 months and who knows? But unless you're going away to fight for this country getting deployed, I don't get do you need to sit there and hug for 3 minutes? Yeah, just walk. Then if that's the case, you do need to park and wait for them. Especially in the old airport when you could really wait by the gate. 3 minutes is a long hug. That's a long embrace.
I just think if you're going to the drop-off zone, it's understood that this is under duress. It's like a race against the clock. You got to get your stuff out of the car. You got to get out of the car, and you got to get moving. I always feel like I'm in a hurry if I'm in the drop-off area at the airport. I'm with you. If you want a 10-minute hug, well then park. Take the shuttle over. Walk them
Have
into
you
the
dropped your
lobby.
wife off of the airport anytime in the recently or something?
Not recently.
Okay, like where you were traveling separately, she was going somewhere.
I think she's dropped me off at the drop-off area, and we do the
Quick hug.
a 30-second hug maybe. Say goodbye, and then we move on. I think also some of that is handled in the when you're at home, right? Yeah. I make sure to tell the kids, oh, I'll miss you. I'll see you later. We give them hugs. We're not trying to do all that at the airport. The airports are flying out. The goodbyes can happen before we get to the airport. I do think you should be given an exception if you're in a uniform.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not here to be hey pal, I'm trying to get out of the car. As some guys in uniform hugging his wife goodbye. No, I think we're okay there. But also, I think just park and let them
walk it, walk them toward as far as you can go before security.
Dude, before 9/11,
you could wait right.
You could stand right by the damn gate. And take him to the
But
airport.
even at the old KCI, because
you could
pretty much stand there and say, all right, I guess it is time for me to go through. You can
10 seconds later, I'll be through security.
Whereas we all know if you've been to a new airport, you really can't go much further than.
I don't think you're thinking about how long a 3-minute hug
3 minute.
You and Drew should hug for 3 minutes and realize how long of a hug that is.
Come here, Drew.
3 minutes.
A 30-second hug is a long hug. That's a long hug.
Man, that's.
The sign someone says is code for hurry the F up and get out of the damn way. Other people are waiting to use the space. That's exactly right.
Well, it's a traffic thing. Remember at the first month when people were complaining about how long the line was?
It's
getting inside the airport
change.
to drop off.
People hated change. It's fine. I love the new airport here in Kansas City. We all know the other one had some conveniences. But, man, when people come into town now, it's not embarrassing for starters. And if you get to the airport a little early, you're not what am I going to do here? There's nowhere to sit, nowhere to eat, all this kind of stuff. Bathrooms are clean. All of it is so much better.
Domino's to the airport.
It looks like a real airport for a modern city. That's the trash of the day. Up next, we get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Let's get the latest on the Jalen Watson front from Jeremy Fowler. Plus, the other Watson. What's going on with him?
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
One contractor, all things parking lot. That's what GAN Asphalt and Concrete can do for your business. One call to GAN to take care of every part of that project. I know sometimes the office managers, this is what they told me recently, right? GAN's an office manager called and they're like, yeah, for the longest time I was like, man, I'm about to find somebody to fix our signs, fix our bumper blocks, our sidewalks. Do I got to get a different company for that? No. One call to GAN will take care of every single problem you might have in your parking lot, around your building, to make sure those things are safe. Recently, they're working in a retirement village over in Overland Park, making sure their residents are safe. That's what you want. It's both a reflection of your business, which it is, bad parking lots, and you've driven through them. Or my kids played soccer, I told you recently. It's just a mess. You're look at this thing. It looks terrible. Aren't you bothered by this? No. You want to make sure you take care of those things so that people know, you take care of your business and you'll take care of them. No matter what the project is, GAN Asphalt and Concrete will take care of it. Go to GANNasphalt.com. See for yourself how they can help your business take care of those big needs or those maintenance needs. GAN Asphalt, serving the community for 30 years.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Relief is possible with help from QC Kinetics. People here are getting their lives back, getting their mobility back, thanks to QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies that can revitalize your joints. And I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine, using your own body's healing properties, highly concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joint. Back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain. These are cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's a quick in-office procedure that can get you moving again. You owe it to yourself to learn more. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299.
It's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here now on 96.5 The Fan, telling you guys about my friends over at Window World. Window World is the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Pick up the phone right now and call Window World today at 816-799-0820 or check out the website, windowskansascity.com. And remember this, when you call Window World, be sure to mention that you heard this on The Drive with me, and you'll be entered into a drawing for 4 Chiefs tickets during the upcoming season. You know they got some big games, and you're going to want to be there. So call my friends over at Window World. They're offering right now 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. In over 20 years of business, Window World has improved the look and thermal efficiency of over 54,000 homes right here in the Kansas City metro. Check out the website, windowskansascity.com. Pick up the phone today at 816-799-0820 for a free home estimate. Call to be entered into a drawing for 4 Chiefs tickets. Remember, Window World, simply the best for less. And the official window of your Kansas City Chiefs.
Right now, 38 states allow sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 biggest newspapers, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Here's Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith asking you to vote yes on 2.
Back in my day, I was the wizard of the infield. Now, I'm a grandfather. That's why I'm voting yes on Amendment 2. It means over $100 million for Missouri schools and teachers, and no more broken promises. There's a constitutional guarantee that the money goes to our schools, and legalizing sports betting is great for us fans too. That's why the Royals, Chiefs, Blues, and Cardinals all join me in saying yes on Amendment 2.
Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education, Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
Fall's coming. You have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve, so this fall make a plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
It takes a lot to prepare for game day as a dedicated fan, and preparing the perfect tailgate meal might be most important of all. That's why Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise is the MVP. Hellmann's Mayonnaise is the secret to bring out the rich and creamy taste to all your game day dishes, from buffalo chicken dip to your favorite sub sandwich and everything in between. So give it a try, and mayo game day be delicious with Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. Shop at your local Walmart, Kroger, or grocery store and add some extra deliciousness to your game day dishes this football season.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Well, I do now. Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Yeah, you just said that. Did you say I just said that? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn We Match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest. We believe.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Well, if you're just joining us for the first time today, a little update on the injury front we got from Jeremy Fowler earlier today. As expected, Jalen Watson will undergo surgery in the coming days for that broken ankle. Test did confirm that injury, according to a source of his. Also, he mentions in the tweet, quote, outside chance he's back for a late playoff push, but his season very well could be over.
Hey, Vinny made it.
Yeah, broken ankle, broken thumb, same thing. It's obviously not great news as expected for Jalen Watson. And, a team that has a chance to make it to the Super Bowl every year, you always wonder around the AFC title game and the extra week between the Super Bowl, like, is there a chance the player comes back? But you have to operate as if Jalen Watson and Hollywood Brown are not coming back. We already know Rashee Rice is done for the season. We know Pacheco is slated to come back. There was a nice update on that yesterday on his social media. You may have seen he was, I don't call it running, but walking, jogging on a treadmill, which is progress, of course, from where he had been with his injury. But they have to operate like Jalen Watson's not going to be available for them going forward. And whether that is just relying on Najee Johnson and Josh Williams, or as we discussed yesterday, is there somebody free agency or in a trade market that you can go and get mid-season to see if you can't, at the very least, add some depth to the cornerback room? Because we talk all the time about like going and getting better players.
Yeah, it's just body sometimes.
But you do need just a body, because let's say all of a sudden Josh Williams goes down for an injury. At some point, the numbers just aren't there. And that's kind of where we've been at with the wide receiver room, because even with the thin wide receiver room, thinking of another Watson, we're talking about Jalen, how about Justin Watson? Thought when they had all these injuries that he was going to be able to step up again and give them 350, 400 yards. And he's getting the snaps, but the production, surprisingly, maybe we shouldn't be surprised, I don't know, has not been there for him to this point.
I guess he's never been like a superstar, so I don't want to make it seem like he's something that he's not, right? Like you and I never thought he was Justin Jefferson. He's never going to be Justin Jefferson. That wasn't the point. The point was, in previous times when they were in need of a wide receiver for a couple of weeks, Justin Watson was good to fill in that role, right? He'd show up, do a little work, everybody'd feel kind of good about it, and we'd all move on with our happy ways. Last year, it might seem like more, but he finished with 460 yards. The year before that, 315. He had one catch for 8 yards, and there was no one left to throw to in that last game. No one. And Justin Watson only got one catch for 8 yards. He's got 7 catches for 95 yards so far this season. That would put him on pace for about 315, which is what he was in 2022. But he was a more effective wide receiver last year, and what I would call an even less than somehow wide receiver unit as far as opportunity goes than this year's team. Because for the first 8 weeks last year, they were trying to throw to other guys, not just Justin Watson. And then for the final 8 weeks, they had Rashee Rice to throw to for the entire season. So it was less than last year, and he was more productive. I'm starting to think he's just washed. That a middling receiver whose production was always going to be somewhat limited maybe doesn't still have it when he's coming up on 30 years old. And counting on him for a third straight season to give you pretty good production was probably overshooting the mark. So because I don't see it. He hasn't been open at all.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's had the opportunity in terms of snaps, that because of the injuries to go out and do that. He's the 6th receiver in yardage right now for the Chiefs. Now, on one hand, you can say, okay, that sounds about right. But on the other hand, he has 95. He has 95 yards, and including tight ends, that puts him 6th on the team right now in yardage. That's how.
Well, but 6th on this team in yardage.
That's my point. No, that's my point, Cody. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that he can be 6th, and he has 95 yards, and that includes Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, and Rashee Rice, who of course is unavailable the rest of the year. So in terms of actual active wide receivers, Worthy with 198, Juju with 147, and then Justin Watson with 95. If you take out the injuries and the tight ends, Justin Watson still somehow has the 3rd most receiving yards on this team, at 95.
Again, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not nothing, obviously, but I mean, part of it is just talking about this yesterday when I pointed out to you that until Travis Kelce gets another 50 yards, the number one wide receiver on this team from a production standpoint is Travis Kelce, or is Rashee Rice, who has been hurt for like weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Justin Watson, it's not for me, it's even what I thought he was still going to be able to do is make it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and you need someone that Mahomes trusts to move the chains occasionally, once or twice a game. And we haven't seen that. I wasn't expecting him to go out and have 7 catches for 50, 70, 55 yards, 70 yards. I always think he was going to have 3 catches for 35 yards, but one was a crucial 3rd down conversion to move the sticks and seal a win. Like that's the kind of stuff we saw last year.
Or he'd be open 20 yards down the field, and he had one of those passes, I think, in maybe the game against the Ravens or the Bengals, where he's the Bengals maybe between like the 2 defenders, and Mahomes triple faked a throw.
But at the same time, I mean, you started it with what is Justin Watson to begin with. And so that's where it's like nobody should be like all that upset with what's happening. I mean, he's a special teams player that has stepped up in a big way for the last couple seasons, that no team is counting on him to become their number 2 receiver, and he's been put in that spot due to injuries. And so far, this production is probably what we all would have thought was going to happen a year or 2 ago, but our expectation went up a little bit because he had a nice season helping out this team. It's why they brought him back on a 2-year deal a year ago, whatever it was.
Because he's a 500-yard receiver, I wouldn't be complaining right now. If he was just 25, 30 yards a game, cool. He's giving me what I'm expecting out of Justin Watson, even with the guys down. But to your point, goes back. Like, yes, what was it, Sunday's game. The best wide receiver from a yardage perspective had 19 yards. 19. Now, look, some of this speaks to the simple.
They ran the ball 40 times, didn't they?
Yeah, and some of this speaks to the simple thing, which is the Chiefs need to trade for a wide receiver. But if Justin Watson was performing the way Demarcus Robinson used to produce in this offense before he was gone, you'd feel a little bit different, because then you'd be like, well, all right, they'll throw it to Kelce. Gray's emerged as a nice weapon, at least. He's not a bad player. You could throw it to him sometimes. Then you're getting your 30 yards a game out of Justin Watson. Fine. Well, then everyone else is going to get 20 yards a game, and we're going to hope every third game we complete a 60-yard bomb to Xavier Worthy, and that's where we're getting a majority of his stuff. Because right now, who is the possession wide receiver that isn't a tight end? It doesn't exist. It's not Sky Moore. We thought it'd be Justin Watson. It's not him. It's no one. It doesn't exist. They have turned Noah Gray into their possession wide receiver, which works okay. I'm not here to complain. He's coming off the single best game of his career high in receiving yardage. But it's like at some point, you're going to need that guy. I think it's why I've started to, like, as I look for those guys, why I've leaned into being okay with guys like Demarcus Robinson or players like that. I don't mean him specifically, but players like that. Is I want someone who runs a pretty good 8-yard cut. You know,
I got another name for you. I mean, he's been hurt. Maybe that scares you. He's been on IR the last 4 weeks, but he's coming back to practice this week for the Carolina Panthers. No, not Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen. Probably not going to cost you much at this point. A veteran that has been in this league for a while that can do what you just said. Like, add him to the list. Let's not forget about him. He's been hurt, so people have kind of forgotten the name. But if he's healthy, which he's coming off IR soon, that's another name I think you call the Panthers on. And he might even be cheaper to acquire than Deontay Johnson.
He's essentially the aging version of the exact same thing I said. So I can't fight it. He was actually pretty good in Carolina last year.
He was.
The other part is like, and like, look, coming off the injury always makes me feel better somehow. It's like, well, he already got hurt. Probably won't get hurt again. That's stupid logic, I know.
Hamstring too, so.
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's like, I feel like they're going to let it get healed before he comes back, because he's sure as hell not saving the Carolina Panthers.
The only issue with Thielen would be it would go against what the Chiefs typically do. Give up assets for a 34-year-old player.
Sure.
That's
but
the
on a 1 year.
I'm with you, but that would be like, if you're asking me, like, should they trade for him? Yes. Why could you see them not doing it? Well, because he's 34.
This might be worth exploring with. This might be us. I'm speaking out loud a little bit, or thinking out loud a little bit, where it might be worth us having a conversation with a cap expert, because here's part of the truth with where the Chiefs stand. They don't have a lot of money. They currently, on their active cap, the way that is settled, don't have a lot of free cash to spend on wide receivers as it currently sits. So are there still players remaining on this team in which you can rework their contract that gives you more financial flexibility this year? Or do you have to pay the premium in order to pay more in draft capital to allow bad team to eat the dough for you, to agree to eat as much money as humanly possible. This is where it might be harder for them to find a trade partner. Is it not only they got to convince the Panthers to give up Adam Thielen or Deontay Johnson for the price they want, but you got to convince them to eat every last cent of the money in order to make this work, because that's going to add in a whole nother layer or difficulty essentially to it, right? That's where I guess I'm at least wondering the question.
Yeah, I'll just push back. Like I just threw Thielen's name out there because he's coming off of IR, and someone texted and said, so then they'd have two washed up guys. Adam Thielen was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, so let's not compare him to Justin Watson.
Justin Watson might have 1,000 yards in his career.
Yeah, so that's just not a fair comp. I understand this year Thielen has like 115 yards. Well, he's missed 4 games. He's on IR right now.
By the way, 115 is 20 more yards than Justin Watson had. And Justin Watson's played all 6 games, and Adam Thielen's played like 2.
Yeah, it's not even a close comp whatsoever. But as I said, if the Chiefs were to not be interested in him, the reason would be he's 34 years old, even though I think for a half-season rental at this point, essentially, or a little over half-season rental, I would be fine. Why not?
Real
Give up
question,
a conditional 7. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it's a joke question. I thought you were finished, and then you mentioned the conditional
go
7th.
Go ahead.
It was a joke.
I don't think there's such thing as a conditional 7th necessarily, is there? Anyway, go ahead.
It's either no pick or a 7th. If he stinks, we won't even give you a pick. We just want the player.
For free.
Could you imagine?
For free.
Or it's a pick swap in the 7th versus
you
you just get our 7th if that's the case. No, the joke I was going to make is the real question is, for all the things that people have tried to beat the Chiefs, should they consider reporting Brett Veach to the EEOC for ageism? Because I do not think he's an equal opportunity employer. Brett Veach hates the elderly. That man will not employ a person over 31 years of age. He's actively not employing them. He's got a pattern, man. They could go after his ass at this point.
That's been a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a pretty good strategy.
Turns out, look, I don't care. I'm actually totally fine with it. It's been a very effective strategy and one that other teams should probably try to emulate. But bad teams pay the bad team tax. Bad teams need veterans over a certain age. We've established Brett Veach will pay a third contract to one type and only one type of player, a future Hall of Famer. The end.
Yeah.
It's the end of the list.
Yeah, and to your point, though, financially with where they're at, this year, prorated number, we already looked it up for Deontay Johnson yesterday, prorated number on a Adam Thielen, he's making, cap hit is $9.9 million, but we're already, heading into week 8 of the season, so that's not a crazy number. Next year, he's due 8.4, but you could cut him after this year if you're like, hey, and it's $5 million. So they could either have 35-year-old Adam Thielen on their team for 8.4, or they could not have 35-year-old on their team if they traded for him and pay $5 million to let him walk. Neither one is like devastating.
No.
Wow,
Weird.
good word choice. There you go.
It's not a bad. I mean, it's $5 million.
It's almost like we've been doing the show together for 5 years, almost. Yeah.
The Chiefs. That's actually something that Brett Veach probably should deserve more credit for. They take on dead cap money just like anyone else in the league, but the reason they've been able to afford more players is because they take on less dead cap than most teams. Right now the Bills have more dead cap than the Chiefs. Most of the good teams do. Because at some point you do have to take on some money for players that you don't want to pay. Chiefs have done it for Frank Clark. They've done it all the way back to Eric Berry or a million other players. But the Broncos have $78 million in dead cap. The Chiefs are the fourth. The Chiefs
Russell Wilson.
Yep. The Chiefs are the 4th lowest in the NFL. $11 million. I mean, that's it. $11 million.
That was not always the case. They finally kind of got things under control. They're in a much better cap situation than they have been. Believe it or not, I know they've been winning, but they're actually in a better cap situation today than they were a year or two ago.
Yeah, I think it used to be.
Younger roster, don't have the dead cap carryover stuff. They're just in a better spot.
They also, they were worse, as you know. They were worse at doing it when it was Brett Veach, or when it was John Dorsey. They had worse problems when it was John Dorsey.
Yeah, he was a great talent evaluator. He did not have the right people around him to manage the cap at the time. No. Complete opposite.
Do you want to know, just out of curiosity, the Bills, by the way, $65 million in dead cap. They're trying to they're actually in much better shape next year and the year after that, because this was supposed to be a rebuild year for them. Kudos to them for being still highly competitive, even though they have $65 million in dead cap. The Eagles have $59 million. The Chargers, $55 million. I mean, these are teams that are trying to win this year. The Packers have $52 million because of Aaron Rodgers. There are teams that could have better players on their roster. The Chiefs are maxed out. They only got $4 million in cap space, but at least they're only carrying $11 million in dead cap versus every other team in the league. Otherwise, it used to be over the cap, or they wouldn't have paid Creed Humphrey, or they would have had to let some other player walk, or they wouldn't have been able to sign Kareem Hunt. That's the other part about their cap situation. They've had to sign like 5 players they weren't planning on signing because of the injuries. It's nuts.
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up over time. So we'll see. I know tomorrow we'll talk even more about some other names that are out there potentially for trade targets as well. Remember, the trade deadline normally would be a week earlier, but they have pushed it back. So we got to, yes, we want them to make a move now, but they actually have a little more runway than they have had in any other year in the NFL after the NFL decided to push the deadline back to, November 5th, I guess that'd be Tuesday, November 5th. In the afternoon. Reminder a little bit later on today, 1 o'clock hour, Nate Taylor from The Athletic will join us. I'm sure we'll get into the same conversation. Plus, we'll ask him if he agrees with Pete Prisco. So Pete Prisco over at CBS Sports was talking about, when's the loss coming for Kansas City? And if not, are they going to actually run the table and get to 17-0? Here's what he had to say.
Buffalo. Late in the season, it's going to be the Bills. That's the only one I can see where they'd have a chance to lose. The rest of those, they run the table. If they win against the Bills, they will run the table and go undefeated. I do not see a threat there. Like B-Mac said, they have the quarterback. When he has to do it, he can do it. He's not putting up gaudy numbers, but he has to go get points. He can go get them. And that defense is playing lights out. They're outstanding. Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. Andy Reid and that group are great offensive minds. They're the team to beat, and they have a real chance to go undefeeted.
Wow.
The chances of it happening go up drastically if they get past that Bills game. We've been talking about that for a while.
Because that would be 9-0.
Let's see, they're 6-0 now. They've got the Raiders 7-0. Bucks is 8-0.
Panthers
and Panthers as well. Yeah. So I mean that it sets up really nicely for them to do that. I've told you I can't have like a real non-hype, like it's still a hypothetical, but like a real conversation. Like I actually think it's going to happen until they're at least 10-0. I mean that's basically post Bills week. Because we don't know, health is so much of the equation with this. Yes, we can go on the schedule and like win. Health. We already know this team has been so banged up. What else is going to happen? Both for the Chiefs and also for an opponent. Later in the year when they're going to play the Texans, are the Chiefs healthier actually? As in Pacheco's back, as in they've traded for a receiver? That might be the case. Or the Texans all of a sudden, they already have Nico Collins hurt, but maybe Tank Dell's unavailable. Like all this can change. That's why I'm not as I guess as optimistic that it's going to happen as it sounded like you were earlier. I think there's a chance, of course. 5% right now is what I would put on them actually running the table all the way and getting to 17-0. We looked up the Vegas odds on this. 11-1 that the Chiefs go 17-0, which is an implied probability of around 8%. So
I think it's 15%, 10%.
If they get to the Bills game and beat them, it is going to jump up for all of us.
I guess part of it is I'm just assuming they're to the Bills game. And look, I understand that NFL teams can't think that way, but I mean, look at the schedule. A team who we can talk on later in the week, they got all the reason in the world to want to curb stomp, who hasn't been able to figure out their quarterback situation. A Bucs game that looks dramatically different than it looked 8 hours ago. True. They might be without their number 1 and number 2 wide receivers by the time that game starts. At least one of them. Chris Godwin's out for the season. He's having surgery on a fractured or dislocated ankle.
That was nasty last night.
Yeah, it was gross. And then the Panthers, who are the single worst team in the NFL. That's the number 1 overall pick. And yeah, that game will be too close. It'll be 17-14, and we'll come in on that money and hate life and not understand why
For sure, yeah.
it was 17-14. It's fine. I've long come to accept that reality. But I'm just assuming, the stretch right now, going into that Bills game, it's looking pretty favorable to be walking into that game 9-0. You had told us yesterday, you thought, and obviously you think they're going to be 9-0 by the time that game starts too.
Absolutely.
I think that's part of the reason I'm at 15%. Is because 3 weeks from now, when they're 9-0, I'm going to think it's around 15%. So I'm just putting it at that now. Because I think they're winning those games. And it comes down to the same thing. If I don't think they can win each of the next 3 games, then I give them a 0% chance of going undefeated. If I don't,
Right, well, yeah.
But or if I just don't think that they should 100% of the time win all those games, then I should just put it at 2%, 1%. Put it down to negative numbers. It doesn't matter. But because I just think they're so much better than those teams. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, it's fun to dream a little bit too, and just imagine that in a 3-peat campaign, you also might be going for 17-0. I hope that's a real conversation we can have in a month and a half from now. Because boy, oh boy, would that be fun. You think people are haters on this franchise and this team? Wait until they find out that not only are they going for a 3-peat, but they might be trying to become one of the rare teams to go undefeated in the regular season. and then we can let the 72 Dolphins start really sweating. I can't wait. That'd be amazing if we get there. But we are a long ways away from having that become a real conversation, in my opinion. Like, it's fun to play the hypothetical game, but it's also October 22nd.
Sure. So we don't have to look at it quite the same way. I understand. But it's officially entering the conversation now.
The countdown will be fully on, when we get to week 11 and and that kind of stuff. Then the countdown gets on, and I think you can start realistically planning it out and seeing how can they get there, and then we can have the conversations. That would be fun, which would be do they play the starters or not kind of stuff. We'll have plenty of those when the time comes. I think the answer is yes, if you're wondering. Andy Reid, to me, with being a player's coach, having a chance to chase history is not going to bench Patrick Mahomes for his legacy in Week 18 against the Broncos if they're 16-0. I just don't see it, man, unless he's banged up.
No, seems pretty unlikely.
They would have a bye week after that game.
No, they're not.
They would have a bye after the Broncos game anyway.
I don't care. You can have the most conservative coach on the planet. No team can realistically walk into a locker room in which a team is 16-0 and say, guys, we're not going for 7. Screw that. Not a single person.
And you're giving them 2 weeks off at that point? I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. The key part of that Buffalo thing is that if they walk into that game 9-0, they can essentially, in my mind, win that game and be the number 1 seed, which means if they're already the number 1 seed, they're only 3 games away from being a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time consecutive Super Bowl champion.
Someone saying we're jinxes for Minshew's going to have a huge performance on Sunday. Look, I wish I had the power to jinx the Chiefs season. I wish I was that powerful, but I am not. I don't think Cody is either. Drew, maybe with Drew's Cincinnati stuff, maybe he's powerful enough to conjure that up. But no.
If they're going to lose, they're going to lose. But the jinx stuff, just not a big believer in that.
Look, the Chiefs can beat everybody except for the one team that I root for. It doesn't matter to me. They can go ahead and go undefeated. It's fine.
Wait, why do you want that?
Excuse me.
Well, until we get to we just wait until we get to
the playoffs. They already beat your team, dude.
In a game that doesn't matter.
Okay. Up next, we'll get to what's trending here.
More time with the season.
Dude, I mean, if they're undefeated, what you walking in there? Team's undefeated in the regular season?
Okay.
That's delusional. Up next. The Chiefs are going to be the 17-0, and Jamar Chase is going to say, we're still the best team in the AFC. Still going to be saying that. Anyway, we'll get to what's trending, and then let's talk about an actual contender for the Chiefs in the AFC. It's not in Cincy, it's in Baltimore. Coming up next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
The NBA is back tonight, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants you to catch all the action. Because right now, FanDuel's giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA. Like I said, it starts tonight. You've got the Knicks and Celtics. You got LeBron and maybe Bronny making his debut tonight. New to FanDuel, you just got to visit FanDuel.com/Alex. That's my promo code to get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After a 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Hey, it's Bob Fesco, and I'm here with my friend Brian Manning of Manning Roofing. Why is it important to deal with a roofing company that understands the insurance side of the business?
First of all, you want to make sure that you get all of the damage covered at your property. We have a very experienced team that's licensed and insured. We do roofs, windows, siding, and gutters, along with some interior trades, and we can make sure that all of the damage is taken care of.
I've used Manning Roofing at my house, so set up your appointment today at ManningGC.com or 816-448-8208. The choice is simple. It's Manning Roofing.
Many of us are looking forward to retirement, but when it's time to tap into your savings, do you know how long your money will last? Make a game plan for your retirement income distribution from UMB Private Wealth. They'll create a custom strategy for you to help make your hard-earned retirement savings last. Just go to umb.com/private wealth to schedule your personal appointment. That's umb.com/private wealth.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. At Diamonds Direct, there's no gotcha clause, no fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Who else does this? There's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, "Bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back," without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at weatherguard.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
In just a few days, Cody and I are headed back out to Las Vegas with our friends over at Circa, getting set for some football, going to do some shows out there. And as I told you guys back in August, one nice thing now when I travel is I don't have to remember my contacts and whether or not I brought contact solution, or maybe the night's a little late and wondering how on earth my eyes are going to actually allow me to put contacts in the next morning. None of that matters anymore thanks to my friends over at DuraVision. I made that phone call about 4 years ago to find out that, yes, I was, in fact, a candidate for LASIK. And a few days later, I went in for my procedure, and I have been seeing better than I ever have without contacts or glasses ever since. You got to go with the best if you're talking about something as serious and as important as your vision and as your eyes. That's why that decision for me was DuraVision. They've performed over 65,000 vision correction procedures. You should be next. Give them a call, 913-491-3330, or go online to DuraVision.com to schedule that consultation and tell them Gold from 96.5 The Fan sent you.
Listen to the Chiefs and Raiders game on Sunday with pregame starting at noon. Kickoff at 3:25 with Mitch, Danon, and Kling. Right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2. Kansas City. An Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
Number one on What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We start with the latest on Jalen Watson from Jeremy Fowler, who says Watson is going to have surgery the next couple days for a broken ankle. Sometime in the next few days, there's an outside chance he could be back for a late season playoff push, but also mentioned as well the reality that he likely is done for the season. That was the expectation based on comments and reports after Sunday's game against the 49ers. So you're down to Najee Johnson and Josh Williams. There's also obviously some other guys further down the depth chart, but we'll see if this prompts them to look elsewhere outside the organization.
They're certainly not as deep at the position anymore.
Yeah,
I'd say that that's probably the safest way to put it.
I told
you, I think in the interim, just as long as, again, you didn't suffer some other injury, you're probably okay in that area. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they at least kick some tires on that. Next up on What's Trending, NBA opens tonight. Their season begins. Knicks and Celtics, Lakers and Timberwolves. The two matchups tonight. I think you'll start getting a full slate over the next few days. You're saying who's the favorite to win? It's the Celtics again to repeat as NBA champions. The real question tonight is, does Bronny James get into the game?
I would think they'll find a way to get him in. It's a nationally televised game. It's opening night. I just would be surprised if they don't find a way to get that moment to kind of kick off the NBA season. I honestly would be shocked.
It's the beginning of the end for inside the NBA. This is the final season, so I would assume anything goes. It'll be entertaining.
For Chuck and the crew?
I mean, doesn't seem out of the question for them. Charles Barkley has been known pretty well to just kind of say whatever he wants. If you're curious who opens up as the NBA favorite for the MVP, it is Luka Doncic.
3-1 or so right now. I think Anthony Edwards is 8-1. Some other guys on the board as well. Next up on What's Trending, someone that cannot stop getting suspended in his NFL career. That is Jameson Williams, the wide receiver for the Lions. Of course, a couple years ago, suspended for gambling issues, violating policy. He's been suspended now for 2 games for violating the league substance abuse policy.
He's been
in the league, 3 years, been suspended twice, something like that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You already had one problem.
You already had one problem with it. Why the hell are you getting into more trouble? And he pretty much just says, like, well, I mean, what was the exact way he said? Like, well, I just got to wear this one on the chin. You're like, I mean, yeah, if you cheated, dude. Like, you knew the anti-gambling policy, and you could play stupid on this. But at some point, you don't get to play dumb on everything if you continue to get in trouble. They have things to make sure that you don't test positive for performance-enhancing drugs. The funny thing about the NFL and Major League Baseball, this is Major League Baseball, you got caught using steroids. You're a monster. Never near this league ever again. You get caught using steroids 4 times in a row. People still put your ass in the Hall of Fame of football. They do not care. Nobody cares. He'll be back in 2 games, and nobody will ever mention he was suspended 2 games.
Well, that goes back to that's a whole other conversation about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that there's some that would argue that way too many players get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, there's obviously unbelievable, legendary players, but there's also some that are like, we're letting everybody kind of get in here, more so than other leagues.
Jerome Bettis. Yeah. Need to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, the bus?
He averaged like 3.8 yards per carry.
I knew you would be a big Bettis fan, even though you're a Cincinnati guy.
I cannot stand Jerome Bettis.
I'm stunned, Mr. Cincinnati.
I can't stand Jerome Bettis, but I feel like the NFL is not as bad as the NBA is.
But running backs in the NFL, the problem is they love putting running backs in the NFL who just physically were available. Not dynamic players, never the best running backs, never led the league in jack squat. Just existed, and you're like, you played for 10 years? Congratulations. You're a Hall of Famer running back. We can't believe you played 10 years. It's borderline a miracle. You're a medical marvel.
You're naming the NBA, though. Like, you could average 15 and 8 for your career, and you're in the Hall of Fame in the NBA.
I'm just saying that's essentially what Jerome Bettis did. He just played longer than most running
All
backs.
pro? Did he have any All-Pros?
No.
All right, well.
Yes, he was an All-Pro one time or twice.
Okay, I don't know. If he wasn't an All-Pro, then maybe.
He was an All-Pro. Yes, he was an All-Pro twice, actually. His rookie year when he finished with 1,400 yards, his best season. And then his fourth year, he was an All-Pro when he was 24 years old.
At the time he got inducted, though, he had the 10th most rushing touchdowns in NFL history.
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
That'll get you in.
I think, Is Jamal Charles a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he should be.
He's not gonna get in, but yes.
Like, that's what my opinion is about running back. Right now, if you ask any sane person who's ever existed, who was the better running back? And the answer was Jamal Charles.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not like he played for a season. Jamal Charles had a career. I'm not saying like if you play for 2 years, you get it. But.
Yeah, no, we've had the Jamal Charles discussion. We both think he should get in, but we also both recognize he's not going to get in. There's a lot of players where it's all of a sudden they get the one ring to go with it, then they're in. If Jamal Charles was playing during this era, it's not even a question. He's automatically in the Hall of Fame.
That was the Matt Stafford conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, that's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. A reminder, at 1 o'clock today, we'll check in with Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic. We're also about 8 minutes away from All 32, talking about some more bigger picture NFL things outside of Kansas City. And I guess a little bit of that right here, too, because Baltimore got the win last night. Impressive win. I understand eventually injuries piled up for the Bucs in the second half. Devastating injury for Chris Godwin, who was having a great year and dislocated his ankle. He's obviously done for the year. Mike Evans sounds like he's going to miss some time, not the whole year, but miss some time with a clear hamstring injury. He was trying to make a touchdown catch, and right away he knew it. So that's two key receivers down. But Baltimore, I actually thought their defense, which has struggled, was better last night. And also
garbage time, which I don't care about.
And then Lamar Jackson. He's playing better than anybody right now in football. It's early in the year, but that is reality of where he's at. And it's very clear. Like, the number 2 challenger to Kansas City is Baltimore. And the great thing is you've already beat them twice since January. That's the great thing. So that's your biggest threat, is a team you've beat twice since January.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know that, and if that's the worst case scenario, then how bad can it be, right? But the Ravens are a dangerous team. The only question I have about them is them puking on themselves in January an annual tradition, or just the war of attrition of most quarterbacks have to go through playing in enough important games so that they know what it feels like, and that this is Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, and eventually Lamar will get one, right? Eventually Lamar will get one against the Chiefs. At this point, if you gave me one free pass to avoid any team in the postseason, including the Super Bowl, I'd take the Ravens. I'd take them right now over the Lions, even if you told me he was going to be in the Super Bowl, or the Bills, or if you just gave me one free pass to skip any team in the postseason in the upcoming year, it would absolutely be the Ravens. Because what they did smartly, I think, versus other teams is they built themselves in the exact image that they should be. They got Derrick Henry, the most probably perfect complement to what they already were. And because they're running the ball so much better than they did against Kansas City in that game, they are allowed to get the ball downfield with Lamar Jackson. But also, is he the same player in December?
Yeah, that'll be the
is
big...
Is he the same player in January as he is now? And traditionally, it's been no.
That'll be the big question again in January. That'll be the narrative around him again. He's going to have to prove that he can play at the same level come January, late January. Can he stay healthy? He's taken a lot of hits this year. All these same conversations are all going to still be out there about him. But right now, he's performing at an exceptionally high level. You said you would use kind of like the skip pass on Baltimore. I think they're the number 2 challenger, and you'll say, well, then if you think they're number 2 challenger, why would you not say they're the team you would skip? They're number 2 challenger because they're going to probably end up as the number 2 seed, and their quarterback is going to finish, if not as the MVP, is going to probably finish top 3 at least in the MVP conversation.
Probably.
I still think, though, and I know it sounds silly because we've seen how the Chiefs perform against the Bills in the playoffs, who they also have not lost to in the postseason under this current regime. I still think Josh Allen in the playoffs, because of what we just said about Lamar Jackson, about not that I don't think Lamar can throw the football, but do I think Harbaugh will let him throw the football? Will they run when they should? Like, the balance. Like, Sean McDermott, the reason why the Chiefs been so dominant as well, Sean McDermott and Harbaugh both screwed up in the postseason. They both have.
Yes.
Sean McDermott has
They've
done
made
against the
mistakes.
Chiefs. John Harbaugh, I keep getting him. Yeah, John? Yes. John keeps screwing it up in the postseason where in the AFC title game, Cody, they wouldn't run the ball. So then they relied on the pass too much. Then there's been other years where it's like, hey, let Lamar throw. They're running too much. So they haven't had the balance. I don't trust them in that spot. Whereas Josh Allen, to me, he can run, and I know they're going to let him throw. And so that still makes him a little more dangerous if Amari Cooper is going to look like what he just looked like in their first debut game that they had him.
Sure, and he did. I mean, he did get a touchdown on a play where it seemed like he didn't know where he was technically supposed to go. But I would expect that from a team who just acquired a player. I understand the fear. Like at some point, right? Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is still more likely to beat the Chiefs, I still believe, in a playoff game than Lamar.
I'll say between the two, Josh Allen has played twice as good as Lamar in the postseason. Josh Allen has been a phenomenal statistical postseason quarterback. I mean, even going back to the 13-second game, what did he do wrong to lose that game? Drive his team down the field with a go-ahead touchdown to put his team up 3, leaving 13 measly seconds on the board for the Chiefs to come back and beat him? That man did every single thing imaginable to beat the Chiefs in that postseason. He just got Mahomes. He didn't do anything wrong. He got beat by Patrick Mahomes. That part of it is always there. The one question I will say about the Ravens is, like, you got to run in the postseason. That certainly is going to help you. I don't think you can be the league's worst pass defense. Because, like, I'd ask questions like, the Ravens have lost 2 games. We know one is against the Chiefs, an acceptable loss. The other one's against the Raiders this year. Chiefs lost to the Raiders last year. You can lose to the Raiders in any given year and screw up and slip up and figure out what happened. They gave up 100 yards to Devontae Adams, 110 yards, and 100 yards to Brock Bowers. Their pass defense is not good.
32nd going into last night, 32nd. Bink was texting me during the game last night. These stats are directly from him because we were.
These are Jay Binkley stats.
These are Binkley stats. I mean, anybody can look them up, but they came from.
No, they're Jay Binkley stats.
They came from Bink.
Researched personally by him.
He texted me last night. He said Ravens 32nd.
Oh, he texted you this too?
Oh, see, I knew it.
You know what? I gotta ask Binkley. If you listen to the
show,
do
you guys not get along? What's going on?
Do you not like me, Bink?
He gave up.
You text a lot of people in this
He
station.
texted me exactly what I think Gold's about to say.
We're having the same conversation.
I didn't get this text at all. He just knows I'm busy with kids.
They give up 14 more yards through the air than anybody, 26th in points a game. Because I think Bink saw one tweet of mine during the game, so that prompts a text, and then we were on at that point.
Got it.
So no, like.
I didn't text anything until I was.
He might have copied and pasted it because he sent me the exact same thing.
Yeah. Drew is texting in on the text line himself.
I'm not,
assuming this
actually.
is you. Someone says, "Are you guys on crack? The Bills and Ravens are not the threat. The only threat is Cincinnati."
They're not even 500.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
If they
Give me a break.
Hold on. If they make the playoffs though, and say they were to play in the divisional round or in the
are they going to get to the divisional round? They're going to have to win the wild card game first.
If they make the divisional round, though, say they go 9-8 or they go 10-7.
Okay.
I think the division is out of reach, even though they're only like 2 games out. If they go 10-7 and they win against whoever, so say they beat Buffalo, and they go to Arrowhead and they play them, do you consider them to be as much of a threat?
No.
If they make the postseason?
No, man. Because no.
Based on the way these are going? No.
I mean, if the Chiefs have a couple injuries that happen 2 weeks before the playoffs and they've got the wins in the bag, but all of a sudden Travis is out and all of a sudden the return of Pacheco, he gets re-injured or sure, there's always a scenario where things can change, but the way it looks like this is going to trend, which is a Chiefs team winning 14 or more games, getting the bye in week 1, so they would have in the week 1, you know what I mean, the wild card round.
Yes.
And then whether it's Cincy coming to their building or it's, I don't know, Colts or whoever the 6 or 7 seed would be. No, I mean, I don't think the view would change. I mean, it would be impressive if Cincy finds a way to recover again and make the playoffs. But just because they recover and make the playoffs doesn't mean that they're suddenly back to being the number 2 challenger.
I know. I think that it's easy to forget, though, how the Bengals had that game won, and then the pass interference penalty, that was a 50-yard penalty or whatever it was, lost them the game. But this is
like
they had the game
my
won.
aunt was my
I'm just
uncle
saying,
kind of thing.
And the one team to have beaten them is the Bengals. So I know that it's not the same Bengals team, but if you go into a game knowing I would feel more comfortable knowing that the guy who's never beaten me and has admitted that he's the kryptonite, or that they're the kryptonite.
No, I would rather play Cincy than Baltimore in the divisional round. Absolutely.
Okay.
Same.
Absolutely.
I'll just tell you right now, just based on where.
I want.
Well, I'm
that.
sure. I mean, not to be a gerb, but like, I'm sure you do. Your team's under 500, so being in the playoffs would be a huge thing.
Like, it seems like there's
the quarterback's playing at an MVP level.
Fine,
so
but
I
the
think
teams
are they though? They're the 10th ranked offense in the NFL. 10th. That's it.
Well, no, Joe Burrow's been playing great.
Joe Burrow is playing as good as Lamar Jackson.
He's
not playing as good as Lamar Jackson. I disagree with that.
Lamar Jackson's been the best player in football so far this year. But I do agree with you. I think it's a bit harsh to act like Joe Burrow's not playing great. But to say, though, because he's playing great that they're a threat, the rest of the team's not been good, man. Like, and it is ultimately how the team is playing as well. Like, Joe Burrow's been great, and they don't have the wins to show for
I
it.
understand,
That's why we don't do win-loss stats for quarterbacks
I understand,
very
but it's not
often.
like they got throttled by the Chiefs 38-10.
No,
they
but
had the
lost,
game won.
But to that same argument, Drew, here's the problem. Cincinnati has 3 wins on the year. It might be against the number 1, number 2, and number 3 pick in next year's NFL draft. Their only 3 wins this season are against Carolina, the Giants, and Cleveland. I'm glad that they played close. But by that same measure, they played close against Cleveland, and they played close against the Giants, and they played too close against Carolina. Like, I mean, I don't want to, say, they don't get partial credit for playing kind of close against Kansas City, unless we're going to talk about the fact that they could have lost to the Browns.
They had the game won, and they blew it. The Bengals
didn't have the game won. They committed a clear defensive.
I know
they have the game won.
They had the Ravens game closer to 1.
They had a 4th and 16, and they gave up a 50-yard penalty because of a pass interference play. They lost the game.
The only team recently, and it's not even recent, in the last 3 years that has played the Chiefs that lost, that can truly say we had them and they somehow won, but we basically beat them, would be Buffalo on 13-second game. That's the only game I'll listen to any argument from any fan like, hey, we had you, like, truly, we had you beat, would be the 13-second game. I understand why a Bills fan would say, we totally had you beat. There was 13 seconds left, all that. Josh Allen was playing out of his mind. Otherwise, penalties happen in sports all the time.
I know, but you can't. Look, I'm not one to say that the refs will lose a game or one play loses a game, but that play, 4th and 16, that lost them the game.
But it was a penalty. They lost the game because they made the penalty.
Correct. The Bengals blew to me, the Bengals blew that game just as much as the Chiefs won the game to me. That's why I think when you that's why when I think you look at who has won in the past, they got the quarterback, they've got the offensive weapons. T. Higgins did not play in that football game. I think that if we're talking biggest threat to the Chiefs,
and neither did Hollywood Brown. So,
it makes sense that the Bengals would be the biggest threat because we've seen this the last 3 years.
I don't know, man. They've beaten them 1 time. They haven't beaten them since 2022.
They're 1-1 in games
that matter. The Bills have beaten them more. But
sure, you weren't even working here when they last beat them. You weren't even working for us yet.
They're 1-1.
It's been that long.
But
they're 1-1 in games that matter.
I know, but the last one they won that mattered was 2022.
All right, let's move on.
It's a long time
Let's
ago
move on.
in the NFL.
Let's get to all 32, shall we?
Sure.
I want to talk about last night a little bit.
Which part? That they shouldn't overturn any play that's cool?
No,
that's
not that.
My stance.
Mine is the Bucs game. Let's go to the Bucs-Ravens game for a second. And there was a sequence late in the game that did, unfortunately, involve Chris Godwin dislocating his ankle, really nasty injury. He's done for the season, was having a great year. And there was the debate, number one, of should he been in the game. That's not the debate I'm trying to get into. The part that was interesting to me was in the explanation from Todd Bowles, they were down 10 points. He's like, why did you leave him in? He's explaining how we're going to march down and we're going to kick an onside. We already had recovered an onside kick earlier. And for whatever reason, there was a fraction of social media for a second last night that was like, well, he doesn't know the rules. You can only do 2 onside kicks. And it was amazing how quickly that spread like wildfire, but also it's just inaccurate. They changed the kickoff rule that you have to notify teams. There is nothing that limits you in the fourth quarter to 2 onside kicks. I want to make that clear. And also, what would be the reason? Like, why do you think the NFL would? There is no reason for them to have wanted to limit it to 2 onside kicks. Like, what's the point? So it was just factually inaccurate. People were going after Todd Bowles for no reason on the onside kick part. He didn't know what he was talking about. He could have tried another onside kick there. You can try 4 of them in the fourth quarter if you're down. If you're up, you cannot. But if you're down, you can't do 4. You can't have 3 onside kicks in the third quarter, but you can have 3 in the fourth quarter. So that was just weird how everybody was going after Todd Bowles, who I haven't been the biggest fan of Todd Bowles as a head coach in the NFL. Much better coordinator, but that's one of those where people were inaccurately going after the guy when he knew what he was talking about.
No, I mean, I understand that end of it. I'm not bothered by that part of it. I just think with a minute to go, you were down 34-10. You just got to let some go. Don't let people out there to get hurt and cost yourself the rest of the season. But the problem is the Bucs is they might have lost their whole season because of a decision over 50 seconds, which does hurt. The other part, you're right. I don't understand. Like, just ignore the people on the internet like Dove Kleiman who don't know what they're talking about. That's what's important. I was watching the game this weekend, and we do not give the Detroit Lions anywhere near the amount of credit they deserve for that Matt Stafford trade. I'm not saying the Rams would ever go back on it. They wouldn't. They won the Super Bowl. But right now, which franchise is in far, 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 far better shape? And the answer is the Detroit Lions. They got Jared Goff. They have turned him into a top 10 quarterback if he wasn't already. The Rams might have bailed on him too early. Jared Goff has been statistically, once again, one of the most effective quarterbacks in the entire year. They also traded the picks that they got, you might remember, not only did they get Jared Goff for it, they got 2 first-round picks and some other later picks. They used those picks, including some that they traded for future picks, to get Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta and 2 defensive linemen. They destroyed that trade. They were never winning the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford the way that they were composed, but making that trade has made them a Super Bowl contending team 2 years in a row. That trade was massive for that franchise. It turned the franchise around.
It did. I mean, the Rams obviously aren't crying about it either, as you said. They got the ultimate prize. That was the reason why you make a move like that, was to go win the Super Bowl. So nobody should be saying it was a bad trade or anything. I know you weren't for the Rams. I mean, they got what they wanted out of it, right? They got a quarterback at that time, in that moment, that could get them over the hump. And he did. Matthew Stafford did. But yes, I also think Ben Johnson, the OC, the reason why he gets brought up to be a head coach, how big is it that he decided to come back and not take a head coaching gig? Who knows if that'll happen again this offseason. That was a weird deal. But he's also the key, I think, to why Jared Goff has turned into a top 10 quarterback in football easily.
If Andy retires, if they just wanted to hire Ben Johnson, that'd be fine with me.
Ben Johnson, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, all on the top of my wish list.
2 of those guys are employed.
I understand. Trade for him. Give up everything. No. They're very, very respected coaches and great offensive minds.
So you talk about the Cowboys a little bit earlier. They came up. The offense can't. They need a running back in every desperate way that you can possibly need a running back. There was a rumor that Alvin Kamara had requested a trade. He dubbed it down, said, no, if you don't hear anything from me or my people, then it's not true. But could Alvin Kamara be the one thing that solves Dallas's problems, at least offensively? Defensively, they're having some problems too, but is Alvin Kamara something that can get them over the hump to win the division and
make them better?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely help because they're so one-dimensional on offense right now. They have no running game. Rico Dowdle's been a little bit better recently, but they just don't have – they're all one-dimensional on offense. It's CeeDee Lamb or bust. That's all they got. Now, he's a great receiver.
He gets 15 targets a game or whatever. It's insane.
Yeah, and you said it. Their defense is atrocious. That division's not completely out of reach yet, depending on how long Jaden Daniels could be out.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, they're an absolute mess. No question. That is all 32 in the NFL. Up next, let's get to what is happening again in one particular area for the Chiefs and why it's the case. We'll also get to the random question of the day right here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
We hear a lot from our patients after we've successfully treated their erectile dysfunction. But one thing we hear the most is, why didn't I get treated sooner? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED and all the emotional and relationship problems it causes, don't wait. Call us today. ED is simply a medical condition like any other, and for most men, it's fully treatable, which means you can get your sex life back. And I'm not talking about sex that's just okay, by the way. I'm talking about good sex with the ability to enjoy intimacy without the anxiety that affects so many men who have ED. In fact, you might find you're performing like you haven't in years. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts. We've successfully treated thousands of men with protocols that are successful in well over 90% of cases. And we have a variety of treatments and treatment combinations so you can get the one that's right for you. So stop waiting and call us. Your first visit includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Tip off the pro basketball season tonight at Twin Peaks with a doubleheader featuring the defending champions. With bar stools and corner booths that rival courtside seats, the Lodge is your hoops headquarters all season long.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Using the Labor Day weekend to get some work done? We got you. Stop by any store to save on oil, fuel system cleaner, wipers, and more. Looking for an end of summer wash? We've got deals for that too. Don't want to leave the garage? Get same-day delivery on AutoZone.com. Do Labor Day your way by getting something done at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Fall's coming. You have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve, so this fall make a plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
It's time to review the top 3 highlights of the day. I'm joined as always by my co-anchor Snoop.
Hey, what up, though?
Snoop, number 1 has to be getting the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at T-Mobile.
Yeah, you should hustle down at T-Mobile like a dog chasing a squirrel chasing a nut.
Nice analogy, Snoop. Dogs do love to chase squirrels.
And squirrels love to chase those nuts.
On to highlight number 2, at T-Mobile, families can save 20% every month versus the other big guys.
That is very impressive. You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing with my savings, Snoop. Now, take it away, Snoop.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on them. Now drop that jingle.
24 monthly bill credits eligible trade-in on Go 5G Next. Well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits and credit stop and balance on required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Chiefs coverage on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by award-winning Johnny's Barbecue in Olathe.
Football and barbecue fans, score big with Johnny's Barbecue tailgate packages. Whether you're hosting a home gate or a tailgate, Johnny's Barbecue has you covered. Check out our tailgate packages at johnny'sbbqkc.com. Located in Olathe and serving all of KC. Johnny's Barbecue. Taste the smoke.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 15 minutes or so. Also, about 25 minutes away from Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic, joining us. Be good to have him in studio. We'll get the latest on what he's hearing, Jalen Watson injury, how that's impacting things internally and maybe externally, and, of course, the wide receiver room, and just where things are at in the AFC.
Our Chiefs insider and our NFL insider in the same show.
Yeah, it was good to
Man,
have
if you're
our
a football fan.
viNFL insider. If you missed it, Vinny Pasquantino was back providing some NFL knowledge and insight. He will hopefully join us weekly, we think, going forward, if all goes well, with his schedule as he did a year ago. So it was good to have him on. If you missed that conversation, you can check it out on the podcast. We might bring that back in the 1 o'clock hour, depending on how things are going. Just kind of depends. Also, Drew has promised to beatbox. We learned yesterday that he can beatbox out of nowhere, and that's in the 1 o'clock hour. He'll do that for Nate Taylor as well, so we can get some more perspective on that talent from one Drew Nixon.
We're going to create a song, I guess.
Yeah, something, man, something. Meanwhile, let's talk about the Chiefs, and this is also another one of those conversations we're going to have that speaks to, frankly, why it's amazing they're 6-0 and how fortunate they are, but why they just flat out are better than everybody else because they're able to overcome other issues. Another one is giveaways. You know, this is 3 years in a row, I think, at least, that at some point we've had a conversation. Yeah, where we've had a conversation about them being top 5 in giveaways. Not takeaways where you want to be, giveaways. They're 4th right now on average.
I understand that this maybe sounds hollow. And I don't want to give the caveat we've continued to have to give, which is I'm not saying they won't win the Super Bowl because blank. But if there is one thing they are actively doing right now that is unsustainable for the level in which they are winning, as in going undefeated, being the best team in the AFC, winning eventual playoff games because they got rid of this problem, it's the turnovers. It's out of control. Once again, why are the Chiefs, supposedly one of the most disciplined, well-coached teams in the league, every single year, one of the worst teams at giving teams the ball every single time? It's crazy. 10 total giveaways again this year. You'd be like, well, where does that rank in the league? Like bottom 6 or 7 per usual. Look at the teams you keep. All right, let's do the turnover differential. In a game in which they took the ball away 3 times, still managed to give it away 2 more times, so only ended up +1 in the category. Here are the teams directly by Kansas City in the turnover differential. Cleveland. How you feel about that team right now? Pretty bad? Miami. The Jets. Seattle. At least they're above 500. Jags. Panthers. Cowboys. Do you hear the company you're keeping? This is bad. This is bad company.
Yet they're 6-0. I mean, that's what I said. I mean, that's what's remarkable about it. What we remember from a year ago, though, was we had a very similar conversation. We said, "Hey, got to clean this up. Not to make it to the postseason. But they got to clean this up if they want to win a Super Bowl."
They didn't give the ball away at all in the postseason.
They did not have a single giveaway until the Super Bowl, right when Mahomes threw the pick.
But turnovers are a weird thing to just go away. I think what's confusing to me about it is, if you're a bad turnover team all year, traditionally that line continues in the postseason. That doesn't usually, matter of fact, usually just don't make the postseason. They're the only team in NFL history who come postseason time can just be like, well, we don't give the ball away anymore.
that goes back to
we
the
only
theory.
use our good plays
but
now.
that goes back to the theory that they're just locked in more.
I know.
Come playoff
Just
time.
playing with their food.
You know, they're kind of bored of the regular season, locked in come playoff time. They know what's at stake. They know they have to raise their level. They know what that level looks like more than any other team in football because of how often these guys have been playing in the postseason, even with the roster turnover. They've got a head coach that's been in these spots time and time again, a quarterback that also has. That's why they're able to do this. And so, it's a stat that is for the regular season, and you said it best, actually, I think, Cody. For the perfect season, it's a concern. For the playoff, not concerned because, like a lot of things we've been bringing up, man, come playoff time, they fix it.
Because here are the teams that are the best at doing this. And this is the thing where I mean, like, the company you keep. This is what makes it no sense. It's like, the only thing I think is unsustainable to continue winning at the level you're doing is you cannot give a ball away this frivolously. The number one teams are the Bills, Steelers, Bears, Lions, Packers, Chargers, surprisingly enough, Vikings. I mean, those are, for the top 10 teams, that's pretty much, I just named you, 7 of the top 8 teams in the league record-wise? Some of the best teams playing the best football. That's what makes Cincinnati funny. They're actually at the top. They're in 12th +2 and still only 3 and 4, depending on that. But the best teams are good at this. Traditionally are good at this. Some of this is just, Andy is the most creative coach in the league. And maybe this goes to the fourth down aggressiveness, the lack of whatever. The things that Andy does that you should come to accept with the winning. Andy does not run a tight ship. I mean, we know that, right? His teams are consistently bad at turnovers and penalties. Every year. They are, I haven't looked. How much you want to bet that the Chiefs are one of the most penalized teams in the NFL? I'll bet the top 10 most penalized teams in the NFL. Without even looking, I'll bet that they're in there. He doesn't run a disciplined ship. And so, but come postseason, I don't know if he just...
You want yards or you want actual penalties?
Yards.
No.
Middle of the road?
No, bottom half. In a good way. Top half as in a good way. 293. The worst team is
Total
up 512. Penalties. Total penalties? Same kind of story.
Wow. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I apologize, Andy.
Most penalized team, it looks like it might be the Cleveland Browns. It's refreshing. Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, Kansas City, same. You're going to love this. Kind of debunks the theory, Cody.
They traditionally, but they have been one of the worst teams penalty-wise.
Not right now. Second fewest.
In the league?
Mm-hmm. 31.
Wow, excuse me. I owe Andy an apology on
31. That Rams have the fewest. Cincinnati has 33. Colts have 34. Chargers 34. Chiefs 31.
I'm sorry. That is a stunning development to me.
Yeah, this is from footballdatabase.com.
Okay.
2024 penalty statistics.
That's probably a reason.
Only enforced penalties, by the way. That's all that matters. I don't care if they're not enforced, as in decline. I don't care. We're talking about enforced penalties.
I think that's just life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enforced penalties is just life. But when you look at but where they've been, it's like, why do they turn it over more in the regular season? Though someone pointed out they have 10 turnovers. 8 of those are Patrick Mahomes interceptions. 2 of those are Carson Steele fumbles. Currently it is not a team-wide problem. If Patrick Mahomes simply limits his interceptions the rest of the way, you're okay. And here's the other part of it. Traditionally with this stat, like some stats I think tell the story of who you are throughout the season. Just as long as you stop giving it away at the rate you're giving it away now, I don't care how many times you gave it away before. That stat to me is not a cumulative stat. It is in the moment. Are you good at protecting the football? Because it's a conscious decision. It's a play style decision. It's separate from me versus like we talk about penalty yards or if you don't run the ball well. I don't care if you've run the ball well for 2 games. You didn't run the ball well all year. You're not a good running team. Penalties, I think that is a status of the moment. Like if you're a good turnover team, the remainder 11 games, well, then I don't care what you did the first 5. I don't care what your final standings are. I care what your standings are for the rest of the way.
Yeah, how are you heading into the playoffs and in the postseason? And that's where the Chiefs have flipped the switch. Whatever, we've discussed that for the last couple of years as well, of just for whatever reason, and some people have had theories that they're playing with their food is a phrase people have used. You used it earlier. Whatever it may be, just boredom, all of that.
Boredom. Is it boring playing regular season games?
Hit the fast forward button. Now that's the thing. Maybe it changes. Maybe we see the switch flip earlier. If they're 10-0 or 11-0, and they know there's a chance to make regular season history on top of it, as in a perfect season, maybe that gets the higher level of play even sooner.
According to Jordan Schultz, a little NFL news, the Eagles, the only reason I mention this is because anybody is worthy of a conversation. The Eagles are releasing wide receiver Paris Campbell. He had 6 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown in Philly this year. Yay or nay? I mean, you can't say no to anybody. You have to kick the tires. This is one of those, like, do I actually think it's a good fit without looking? Probably not. Do you have to kick the tires on a guy who had 104 receiving yards last year? Sure. He had 600 yards once.
He's 6 foot tall. Yeah. Oh, good.
He has 1,000 career receiving yards and 6 career touchdowns. He's essentially Justin Watson. Justin Watson, I looked it up earlier today, has 1,200 career receiving yards.
Yeah.
Sure. Bring him practice squad? Why not? Who's
Other than the Eagles' offense this year with Kellen Moore, prior to that, he was with the Colts and Giants. Just talk about boring offense that I just don't like.
Maybe he's
I
being held
understand
back.
2023 was with Mike Kafka, so there's your connection if you want to go deep and say, oh man, he was on a team that had Mike Kafka as the play caller, which is the connection to the Chiefs. Fine, if that's what you want to go with, there's your connection.
I'm just saying, like,
and he had how many yards with the Giants last year? 100.
You said? Yeah, 103.
I mean, like Deontay Johnson doesn't have any connections, correct?
I mean, how many
properly, right? I mean, how long? Because I think if that really is a question, how long does it take him to learn the offense? How long? I think it's a weird question to ask. If the guy's worth that much talent-wise, him taking an extra week or two to learn the offense is not a problem, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you right now, there is not a single, outside of Kadarius Toney, which we established yesterday, there's not a single wide receiver you could say is available that I wouldn't at least, like, bring in for a workout.
Yeah, and MVS signed with the Saints yesterday.
He signed with them?
Yeah, they missed out.
I missed that.
Darn.
Man, that felt like...
In all seriousness, not the type of receiver they need. Not even just because of the last year drops.
No, just not. They need a possession guy.
They don't need a guy that can run. They need somebody underneath possession type receiver.
Is Anquan Bolden, how long has he been retired? Like 5 years?
Into the retirement. Can Calvin Johnson still...
Go get Jerry Rice while we're at it.
Calvin Johnson. After watching those commercials, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Calvin might be. You just throw the ball up to
Paris
Calvin.
Campbell, wasn't he like a second-round pick?
I think so.
Yep. He's only 27. Yep. Go get Dwayne Bowe. Just go get anybody. Yep.
Kelvin Benjamin. If you had to...
Kelvin.
I'd go after Dwayne Bowe in a heartbeat if it were those two.
Well, Kelvin Benjamin, he got traded here. The reason why I'm joking about
Kelvin Benjamin had a cup of coffee here. Well, actually, sorry, he didn't have any coffee. He just had a couple dozen donuts, not coffee. My apologies. My apologies.
Did he was he trying to be a wide receiver here, or was that when he had like made the switch to tight end
or a lineman?
Oh, it was that bad,
dude.
I knew he was converting to a tight end, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, wasn't great. Kelvin Benjamin's time here was they were pretty desperate at wide receiver then too. Pretty desperate.
Yeah,
but at least now they got Mahomes. They cover it a lot better now when they have no wide receivers. Drew, for all we can say, is it amazing how bad we think the wide receivers are? Kansas City fans, and Drew would know this, once went through an entire 16-game NFL season without a single wide receiver catching a touchdown pass.
That was a real
thing.
Not one.
How long ago was that?
Not a single one. I don't know, 10 years ago? How long ago was that now? Shoot. It was early in the Andy Reid tenure.
This has come up before, but I obviously wasn't here to see it.
0, man.
2014.
That was when Kelsey
They were the
had
first
an
NFL
obscene
team
season.
since the 60s to go 16 entire regular season.
Pass or something.
Yeah.
That was,
not Dwayne Bowe, not Jason Avant, not Junior Hemingway.
It's the only time Andy Reid didn't make the postseason, right? And the entire time he's been here in Kansas City, it was the only time he didn't make the postseason.
Yes, the Ravens eliminated them by not head-to-head, but the Ravens won a different game and then eliminated them.
Their leading wide receiver from the receiver was Dwayne Bowe with 754 yards, but 0 touchdowns. Right. Albert Wilson next with 260. That was their second leading wide receiver. Jamal Charles was actually third on the team, and he only played a full season.
What's amazing about, now that we're just in the deep dive for a second, that same season the Chiefs converted third downs at the third best percentage in football, yet their receivers couldn't get a single touchdown. But they were converting third downs.
Dwayne Bowe was really good on third down that year.
They also had the fourth best red zone percentage. But again, in the red zone at the fourth best percentage.
Scoring or touchdown percentage?
Jamal Charles was on that team. But the point is, isn't that crazy? I've told you no wide receiver touchdowns, but that team had the fourth best red zone percentage and the third best third down percentage in football that year.
Weird year. Well, Travis Kelce and Dwayne Bowe get you a lot of third downs.
Yeah.
Dwayne Bowe, he makes no sense. He went an entire season with 0 receiving touchdowns, but had like 20 in a different year. Doesn't make. Did he have like 15, 16 his best year?
I can't remember. Yeah. When's the last time you went to Sonic? Recently?
No, I don't think so.
Sonic?
Yeah. No, sorry, Drew. That's
Again, you know what? Sometimes we have to inform Drew of things in Kansas City that we had 15 touchdowns.
Just Google Dwayne Bowe Sonic.
Question,
Just,
okay.
No, yeah. I mean, simply put, Drew, Dwayne Bowe got pulled over for being high while driving to Sonic to get some,
some tater tots
corn
or something?
dog or something.
Yeah. Those mozzarella sticks are actually pretty good there, man. Seriously, mozzarella sticks at Sonic, legit.
Somebody said Michael Irvin. Hey, have you seen? He's going to all the Miami games as well. I mean, he's out here traveling.
You mentioned, so we were talking a little bit about the games earlier. Did either of you guys watch the second game, the Chargers-Cardinals?
Fourth quarter, yeah. The game became such a
it was
blowout in
behind
the
a
Bucks.
paywall.
Yeah, but I have ESPN
I turned
Plus
it on for maybe 10 minutes.
Especially if you're a fan of a Big 12 school like K-State or KU, a lot of their football games, some of their football games, and basketball games end up on ESPN Plus. So I have ESPN Plus, so it's easy to switch over. And that Ravens game got out of hand in the second half. So yeah, I did.
But this is the way of I hate all the people who say, well, I can't watch it because of Bally and it's behind a paywall. If you don't think football is going that way, wake up. Technically, Thursday Night Football's already behind a paywall. A lot of you have Amazon Prime, but it's already behind a paywall. The Christmas Day game for people outside of Kansas City, behind a paywall. That game last night, the second Monday night game, behind a paywall. We're starting to get to the point that 2 or 3 games every week, if you want to watch them in the NFL, you already don't have access to. And we also just ignore the fact that I have to pay for Red Zone if I want to watch all the games anyway. The amount of games I have available to me for free are like 5 games a week. That's it. I get the 1 Monday Night Football game, the 1 Sunday Night Football game, 2 in the noon window, and 1 in the 3 o'clock. Maybe 2 in the 3 o'clock if I'm lucky. 6 games total is what is available to me. I could probably get that many baseball games for free every week. Sunday Night Baseball, the one that, it's close. The only difference is the local teams are free. But how long? How long will NFL keep letting the local markets keep the local rights and put those on there versus making them harder?
I think that will be something they actually keep for, that's one thing I don't think they will shift away from. But other than that, we're going to continue to see more and more Monday Night Football games on ESPN
Isn't
Plus.
there a playoff game that's on Peacock?
Last year. Remember that whole? Remember you remember that?
We tried to get
last
Peacock in studio.
Yeah, that was when we started looking up the Peacock farms and the purple Peacock.
That was the Chiefs game. Okay.
We started listing
Black
off
spotted Peacock.
Yeah,
it was all kinds
there was
of
a lot, and we were reading just official animal names, and so nobody could get us
I
in
couldn't
trouble.
remember if there was an ESPN Plus one, but it was the Peacock game that was the one.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, look, I'm just asking because I see every time there's a game behind a paywall for that, I see complaints. And I was wondering if it's just because it was Cardinals Chargers and nobody actually has any fans of those teams. I didn't see anybody on social media.
A lot of Chargers fans
whatever.
at the Cardinals Stadium last night. I was actually impressed. Normally, it's the Chiefs fans.
One fake Chargers fan.
She was there. She's
Shipped
back,
him in.
baby.
Oh, she was?
She was in Arizona for the Chargers, supporting the Chargers.
Asking me, she was like, I haven't seen that fan. I was like, I don't know where she's at. We clearly didn't watch
She's
the
a
game
real
long
person.
enough.
Busy schedule. Life happens.
She's a plant.
I told you earlier, if she's such a plant, how come we hadn't seen her until just now?
What was she, a converted Vikings fan or
She's
whatever?
got other acting gigs. Probably like a Flonase commercial or something, man. I don't know.
Flonase.
Out of all the things.
Flonase.
Just some other random commercial.
Okay. All right, let's get to the randomness of the day.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over on the text line, 913-586-7965. Don't forget, live stream the show. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. Head over to YouTube, The Fan 965. Like, subscribe, review. Is that the way we're supposed to say it? Either way, go subscribe us over there. It's fun to watch us on video.
Yeah, we're trying maybe to have a video set up while we're in Vegas. We'll see. That is to be determined. But we go to Vegas on Thursday, and maybe we'll have a camera just facing the pool and the giant screen out there, poolside. People will enjoy the stream, I think, if we have it facing the pool.
Just like, it just makes you feel like you're on vacation.
Higher likelihood.
Yeah,
Scenery.
make you feel a little bit better. At least, but the random question I have for you today is related to my child yesterday. Ruby, even though she's quite a bit older than every other one of her peers to do so, has lost her first tooth.
All right, there we go.
Most kids have lost them for like years by now. She got her teeth like crazy late. She was like 19 months. She was like almost 2 before she got a tooth. So like took her a while. She's late in the game, but she lost a tooth.
Okay.
She obviously, through other means, not something we had mentioned, was familiar with the tooth under the pillow situation. So I have 2 questions for you. 1.
Yeah.
What is the going rate for a tooth these days? 2. Why do people keep baby teeth? It's disgusting. Why are you people them? Save them and like keep them in a jar
okay, that's
and stuff?
Weird. That's weird.
So
we never did that.
No, we didn't do that either, but people do.
You put it under the pillow. You give the kid the money
to the trash
and
can.
It goes away. Sorry, spoiler. That's what happens.
My son this morning said maybe the tooth fairy eats the teeth. I'm like, no, that's not what the tooth fairy does. What kind of monster eats the teeth?
I don't know the rate. I don't have kids, so I honestly have no clue where at. My
what
guess
do you think is right.
I don't know.
They're going to lose like 20 of these
with
things,
inflation and everything. I'm sure it's gone up. The rate has gone up. Am I crazy for saying it's a $10 bill?
How much was a tooth for you guys?
Cody, I have no idea. Someone might call me $10.
I gave $2. Am I a cheap ass?
No.
$10
no.
$5?
per tooth?
Hold on. $5?
$200 deep at the end of this thing.
You are not.
$5 maybe. $2?
No.
I thought about $5, but then I thought I might get stuck paying $5.
When we lost a tooth, we got $1 and quarters.
$1.25. Okay.
That's what we got.
But I mean, dude, that was a
long time ago. That was a long time
ago.
The
early 2000s.
Someone says first tooth $5, then $1 after. Someone says don't $10 rate. Someone else says. Maybe I'm a little high on the $10.
Crazy.
Dude, I think all over the board. This is nuts. People are saying 2, 5, 20. They said for this first one.
20 is.
That's insane. I think I got quarters. I don't know what you guys got. If you got anything,
I should text a family member and find out what they're doing for the nephews.
I was the 6th kid out of 7. What do you think? They're paying up for every tooth a kid loses?
I'm gonna
7 straight kids. We didn't have that kind of money.
Maybe they just maybe they started it, and then by the time you came up, they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing this anymore." Once we got the 4, 5, 6 kids, yeah.
So because I had we hadn't gone through it yet. I figured I could always go up if you need. But if I start too high, then I've established a precedent that you can't really walk back from. She immediately wanted to spend her $2 on one of those like vanilla ice cream cups at school. We don't let her buy during school.
Okay.
I was like, I don't care. Yeah, spend your $2.
Yeah.
You'll feel like it's worth every bit of the $2 if you get a whole little ice cream out of it. That's fine with me.
It is all. I mean, it truly is. Obviously, everybody is so different situation. Like it is so all over the place. We've seen $1, $2, $5. Some people are saying just anywhere 5 to 10. I mean, it's all
$10 a tooth. They lose more than 20 of these. $10 a tooth.
Not all at once.
I know, but damn, dude.
There have been a few $2 bills. Yes, that's something.
$2 bill. That's smart.
My mom has given us $2 bills for the randomness. She'll send a note to us or any of my siblings. Random $2 bill. Those are unique. Thomas Jefferson on them. That's a Jefferson, I guess, in that case.
Yeah. What did you say? Did you get paid for your teeth?
Yeah, but I don't remember what I got as a kid. I have a text or two out to some family members to find out. I don't remember what we got as a kid.
Someone says we were also given stuffed animals or a toy instead. That cost me more than $2 though.
Yeah.
I let them go pick out a Squishmallow. That's $5, $6. I must just give them
It's
cash.
not more than 10 though. If 10's the going rate, that's someone said it depended on the tooth that you lost.
20 divided by the number of kids you have too. So like it's going to be a little bit lower.
Oh, I see. That's smart.
Yeah.
Like $10.
Someone says you cheap ass. $5 is the minimum for the first tooth ever, and then you can drop the scale down.
No.
Your daughter doesn't know any different, right? So you're good.
She lost it.
Do you think she's telling her friends like, "Hey, I got 2," and some other kids like, "Well, I got 10." Then she comes back home to you and says, "Dad, why are you a cheap ass?"
Probably. We're going to start talking about socioeconomic status. You know?
Cody, wait.
Welcome to socioeconomics, kids.
Cody, what child of yours has cursed in front of you?
Well, both at some point.
Okay. I was gonna say
recently, both of my kids right now are in the phase where they yell at me anytime I curse. So if I say something, they're like, Dad.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely in that phase.
Is Desmond in gym class right now? Because if he comes back and calls you a cheap ass, then I think that would be.
Man, between that and my daughter asking me 2
go.
days ago, she said, "Hey, do you think Santa's real?" I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got other places to be.
That's a loaded question.
Oh boy,
you know what?
Man,
that's loaded, and I'm not getting into this right now.
The text I got from I was asking my brother-in-law because they have kids. They just said it's varied. It's been as much as 20 for the first, less than that after.
Woo!
Oh my gosh!
Woo!
But then less after.
20 for a first tooth.
Less after.
Woo! Man,
someone got $100 from. Their parents gave them $100 to pull both front teeth.
I will say, you start getting disgusted by it. She had a loose tooth for a week, and all they do is mess with like, look how loose it is. You're like, I don't want to see.
How did she pull it out?
I came down. So she usually will go downstairs and get herself breakfast, like when I'm like still getting ready a little bit. So I came downstairs. She had gotten herself some food, and when I came downstairs, she said, "Look, my tooth fell out." So I don't know. Taking a bite, I guess. I didn't even see it.
There's no slamming of the doors or anything like that.
All right, up next, we'll ask Nate Taylor about this. He's got a young kid as well. Nate Taylor, our Chiefs contributor, Chiefs insider, I should say, from The Athletic, will join us. We'll get his perspective on some of these injuries next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
The NBA is back tonight, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants you to catch all the action. Because right now, FanDuel's giving all users 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA. Like I said, it starts tonight. You've got the Knicks and Celtics. You got LeBron and maybe Bronny making his debut tonight. New to FanDuel, you just got to visit FanDuel.com/Alex. That's my promo code to get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. After a 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
My name is Michael, and I am a Centric graduate. I was burnt out at my sales job and just going through the motions. I decided it was finally time to stop putting it off and make a change in my life. Centric's hands-on training and fast program was the step that I needed. I graduated with the certifications and real-world experience to get a career in tech. I got a job and haven't looked back, only to a better future. Don't put it off any longer. Visit Centric.com to take control of your future. That's Centric.com.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
Right now, 38 states allow for sports betting, including 7 of Missouri's neighboring states. Amendment 2 gives Missouri sports fans the freedom to bet on games too, and that will generate over $100 million for our schools without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and Missouri's 2 professional soccer teams, the KC Current and St. Louis City. These days, Republicans and Democrats don't agree on much, but the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor are both supporting Amendment 2 because it means more money for education. Amendment 2 isn't like the lottery. There's a strong constitutional guarantee. The new money from sports betting will go to our schools. $100 million for education without raising property taxes. Amendment 2 is endorsed by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Kansas City Star. Vote yes on 2. Paid for by Winning for Missouri Education. Mike Pridmore, Treasurer.
Something big is happening at Hy-Vee. We've just lowered thousands and thousands of prices on thousands and thousands of items in every aisle and in every department. Online, too. And on many of your favorite products, we've even matched prices with some of the biggest discount stores in the country. Because we get it, times are still tough. So we'll continue to work hard to bring you new lower prices on thousands of items. Things are looking different at Hy-Vee. Come see for yourself.
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. This year, I get to host, and Hy-Vee's going to make it convenient for me. They have made fresh, ready to heat and serve favorites like succulent turkey, honey glazed spiral ham, prime rib, savory side dishes, and dessert. Hy-Vee's Taste of the Holidays event is coming up Saturday, November 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can sample all of the amazing ready-to-serve meal pack options or just get a little holiday inspiration. This holiday season, let Hy-Vee do the cooking while you take the credit, only at Hy-Vee.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunkt Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment. Not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back, without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at weatherguard.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
1 o'clock hour on a Tuesday. It is Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We're going to have Nate Taylor stop by in just a couple of minutes. Our Chiefs insider from The Athletic. We went down a rabbit hole during the break. One, your texts were entertaining. Also, we were like, so honestly, what's the whole backstory on the whole tooth fairy thing anyway? Why do we start giving money? There's a couple different ones. One was just Vikings back in the day, as in the 13th century, believed teeth were good luck charms in battle. They would pay children for their lost teeth. That's a real thing, I guess. Also, even currently in Russia, Spain, and Asia, a popular tradition is a mouse that enters children's rooms to remove baby teeth.
Why does the mouse want the teeth?
I don't know. And then, as we know it became popular after World War II, and it allowed parents to give more money to their children. And then since then, pop culture, et cetera, it's taken off. There you go.
I just feel like it gives them a reason not to be scared about losing the tooth. My kid never seemed to care. Like, she didn't seem all that. She also cracked a tooth like 2 weeks ago, so.
Did they just pull it?
No. It's a canine. They just had to, like, seal it. She was playing a dance. She got, like, I'm not kidding, her whole, I was worried she'd be like, broke her nose. Her whole face was bruised. She had, like, black eyes and her nose.
Dang.
They were, like, spinning around, and she face planted when they were playing on, like, the real floor. Chipped a tooth.
Ouch.
Bruised her whole face.
Jeez.
She's just, like, she's clumsy like me. She just, like, gets hurt sometimes. She's doing fine.
Yeah.
She didn't seem to really care. She took the injury fine.
Just pop right back up and you kept going?
Her nose bled for a little bit, and then she, like after, I guess, 20 minutes, they said she was acting normal.
There you go. That's good.
Kids get hurt sometimes, man.
913.
Can't protect them all the time.
586-7965. Drew's also preparing at some point in the next, I'd call it
I've
20
go
minutes.
Through some vocal warm-ups.
Yeah, you get a do, re, mi, fa, so whatever it is. Yeah,
right.
go ahead and do that. Get ready. Drew is going to beatbox for us. We learned yesterday in this hour his hidden talent after our bios went up on the Facebook and Twitter pages and everything, or Instagram.
Are you rapping along, Cody, as well? Or
well, I want to hear it first, but maybe. I'm open to that.
I think because there's
or do we just save that for later? I don't want to like this beatboxing thing is new. I don't want to just lose it all too fast.
That's fair. Yeah, let Drew have the
different
beatbox
variations
moment.
of there's different beats or whatever.
Are you going back to like the basics from middle school, or are you bringing us something new? It'd be new to us either way.
I don't practice this, so I have not given an ounce of effort other than when I drove home yesterday to see if I could go.
You should have recorded yourself driving home practicing beatboxing.
Oh, like I said, if there's something that comes up, like if I'm listening to music, somebody texted in, can I do other songs or whatever? Like you could play a song and I can beatbox to the song. Like it could be Shake It Off. I can beatbox to that song.
Right,
it might not
we're gonna have to hear
great.
that. We're gonna have to hear that too.
We got plenty of time. We don't have to do this all today.
Yeah. Today,
got plenty of time to explore Drew's
beat to
beatboxing.
any song. Yeah.
All right, we'll do the song,
country music, whatever.
We'll do that maybe later in the week. That portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got days, man. Plenty of days left to do this thing. We don't want to absolutely, lose it all,
knock it all out,
in the opening sitting. You had mentioned earlier, and Nate Taylor will be with us in a minute, that you thought we'd probably discuss this with him just the same. But like, how do we view Patrick Mahomes' season? I had asked simply just give it a letter grade. You would ask me give it a letter grade. I gave it a B. You gave it a C+. I think what's hard is the eye test of the offense is off, right? Like, they don't have enough wide receivers. I have questions about their tackles.
Yeah.
But with all those questions, I don't watch Mahomes in the last 3-4 weeks. I think in the first 2 weeks, I felt this way more. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, I don't watch Mahomes and be like, he's got no idea what he's doing out there. Something's off. He's not right. He's not the same Mahomes. I see the exact same Mahomes I have seen for years over the last 3 or 4 weeks. First couple of weeks, I thought he looked off. Since then, he looks like old Mahomes. Winning plays at winning times. He threw a couple of darts to Noah Gray. He's making off-balance throws with guys wrapped around his waist. He's doing consistent things that I see out of him all the time. The only misstep I saw in the last game was the misfire to Xavier Worthy deep down the field. Felt like he's got to hit that one. Other than that, and deep throws, as you know, a harder completion to make. But other than that one, both interceptions I can excuse away. I didn't think he left the pocket too early. I thought he made a lot of good decisions. I'm not watching Mahomes right now and questioning his play, which is why when I was asked to give a grade, I gave a B. I felt like when you look at the guys he's throwing to, Juju Smith-Schuster was cut by the Patriots, they stink. Kareem Hunt was cut by the Browns, they stink. Okay, good start. Sky Moore, you can make an argument, doesn't deserve currently to be on an NFL roster. He's lost his number 1, 2, and 3 weapons so far in this year. He's starting a third-round left tackle. They didn't even want to start at left tackle, went with a different guy to begin the season. There's so many things working against him, Golden. He doesn't look like not Patrick Mahomes to me. Maybe because the standard he has set, to your point, it deservingly of a C+ or the other things beyond it. But I watch Patrick Mahomes, and he looks fine to me. He looks like Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, I don't know how he looks fine, looks the same. I mean, I don't
he
think
doesn't look, it's not 50 touchdown, 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same. But there's more nuance required. 100% is the personnel around him. And at one point on Sunday, he was down to 3 receivers. And it was Hardman, it was Moore, and it was Watson. That right there.
What do you ask him to do in that scenario?
Yeah, that right there is part of the scenario. That's why it's a C+. Because it's not just about stats either. But if you watch him, some of the mistakes, whether it's not trusting the O-line, whether it's receivers not getting open, bailing on the pocket, like all these things have contributed to that. But the reason why it's a C+ as well still is, 1, they're 6-0. And 2, on Sunday we saw why the stats just don't matter. That Patrick Mahomes, when the game is on the line, there's still nobody you would rather have. I don't care if he threw 4 picks earlier in the game and had 100 yards and looked awful. But when it's the fourth quarter and there's 2 minutes to go and it's a 1-possession game, I would not have anybody else play quarterback than him. And he can go and have the run up the sideline. He can have a 4th and goal run where he trucks a linebacker or safety heading into the end zone. That's why he is still Patrick Mahomes and still the best quarterback overall in football, even if he is not playing always like that. Lamar Jackson's playing better football currently, but there's no question who I would rather have as my quarterback, considering the circumstances around him.
I think to that point, though, like Lamar in a way has to play better because of like what you were saying. I think it was Cody. You were giving the stats on the Ravens defense. Or no, it was you.
It stinks. Yeah.
The Ravens defense
Not
stinks.
been very good.
Lamar has to play better. Where Mahomes, I think there's a texter that from the 816 says he might not be throwing well, but I think his game management and cool is still solid. I don't panic when he throws a pick because you have the defense. That's why I asked you earlier if the record was 4-2, or if the defense wasn't as good, and it was a little bit shakier. I wonder if you would have his grade less than a B because of that reason, or how that would change based on how the defense is playing. Because, not that he gets bailed out in a way, but you throw a pick and you don't have to worry about it because you know the defense is going to get a stop because that's all they do is make plays.
Sure, but like the way I view this is, and this is why I think they've been able to get away with this more, is I want them to be more aggressive with Patrick Mahomes, and they haven't been doing that. This is, again, his lowest average yards per attempt. But we should probably not ignore the fact that in almost every game this season, they're playing from ahead. That will depress some of the just straight-up counting stats. Yards per game and touchdowns will go down when you are just ahead. They were up by double-digit points on Baltimore in the opening game of the season. Cincinnati, they were not really at any point really leading that game. They had to come from behind on Cincinnati. They had a massive lead against Atlanta. That game was 12, 14 points in the second quarter. They were down. I guess the Chargers game,
They're down 10-0.
They were down 10-0, but it was 10-10. So, maybe that one doesn't make much sense. That was also one of his better statistical games. He had 250 yards passing in that game and spread the ball around better. That was Travis Kelce's best game.
Yeah.
Up on New Orleans the entire time, up on San Francisco the entire time.
Yeah, admittedly, someone says Cody, if his name wasn't Mahomes, you'd be talking differently. But here's the thing,
his name is Mahomes.
His name is Mahomes, so that is part of the equation here. We aren't talking about a second-year quarterback that has never had success, that has never thrown for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, that has never led a drive with 13 seconds to win a playoff game. All that stuff has to factor into when you're grading. When you look at what he has done this year, he still has made the plays that are required to win football games. He has. He's made mistakes, but he has made the plays that are required to win. And there is also the understanding that whether it's at Buffalo on the road when they have to have a game later, or most importantly in the playoffs, you know who's going to show up. And in the playoffs last year, we had a very similar conversation. He didn't have a great year last year statistically. Didn't. Same situation, a lot of injuries. Come playoff time, he was perfect. He really was. He was perfect. No mistakes. The O-line played better, which I think that is still, we don't talk about enough. His performance this year, I still think a lot of it, yes, wide receivers, but is at times not trusting the tackles or not having a good feel about how, in this case, Wanya Morris is going to do his job. That, to me, is part of the equation. And so, yeah, people outside of Kansas City can say it's an excuse. The difference is we're not talking about your quarterback that hasn't accomplished a damn thing. We're talking about someone that has time and time again shown that he can deliver. We're not talking about a quarterback that hasn't delivered. That's why we talk about him differently.
I guess the only guy we ever compare him to, and I think at this point the only quarterback worth comparing him to, is Tom Brady. There's no one else really that I want to look at the career achievements of. Okay, so some seasons, Tom Brady led the league with 5,300 yards, his second to last year in Tampa, and 43 touchdowns, both led the NFL. Before that, the last time he led the league in passing yardage was 2017, so 4 years before that. The last time he led it before that was 2007. He only led the league in passing yardage 4 times in his entire NFL career. He only led the league in passing touchdowns 5 times in his entire NFL career. He had double-digit interceptions 12 times, 13 times in his NFL career. The same numbers that Patrick Mahomes usually ends up with. 12, 13, 14 interceptions. He did that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 times in his NFL career, including his second to last season, his third to last season, his fifth to last season in the NFL. Does anyone think Patrick Mahomes is going to lead the NFL in interceptions? Because I don't. I'll bet someone $100 right now he doesn't lead the NFL. I know he currently leads them, right? But he's not gonna. He's currently led the NFL in interceptions part of the way through the season multiple times over the last few years. He doesn't finish that way, and that's not what it's about, at least on this end. He doesn't have to lead the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns every year to be the best quarterback in the NFL.
I think
statistically, there are probably 7 quarterbacks who have better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. Maybe 8, 10, I don't know.
I think there's way more than 7. If we're just going off the stats, I think there's way more than 7 right now.
I think PFF grade, there's 10 better.
Yeah,
touchdown
when you said stats, I'm thinking literally yardage,
yards per
touchdowns,
game is about league average.
Yeah.
So there's not. It depends on the cumulative stats. If we're making it 5 categories, it's probably 12 guys above him statistically. But we know who's better and who's worse. That makes the easy thing to know. And like the winning does account for part of your grade.
Sure.
I feel like it goes almost, it speaks to his greatness a little bit, because when you see text messages like, if he wasn't a 3-time champ, I'd worry, or like if he wasn't this, you'd worry. Like the fact that it takes, like, what does it take for you to worry about? Like the Chiefs, yes, they're 6-0, but even if they're 4-2 and they're still playing this way, it doesn't. Mahomes is not playing good. He leads the league in picks, and you're still not hitting the panic button.
No,
it goes to show like you're confident. Not let's say he doesn't turn it around and he actually has 20 touchdowns and has 18 picks.
Okay,
if they're 14-3, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Which is in a way, it's his greatness of, even if he plays bad for 3 quarters, as long as the fourth quarter is good and he's able to, and they're winning games, then it technically doesn't matter, and he's great in those big moments, like we've talked about before.
It's just hard because like some of it is like, if that one got me gold, the one's like, well, if he wasn't Patrick Mahomes, you wouldn't be. But he is.
But he is.
But he
yeah.
is Patrick Mahomes. That does feel like it should matter in some scenario where it's like, well, if he wasn't the second greatest quarterback of all time, you'd feel different. I'm like, but he is.
Yeah, the conversation we're having here is different than, hey, should he be MVP? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not like, no. I mean, that's not what we're. That's not. Yeah, that's not what we're discussing. We're talking about like kind of grading him out and overall his performance. If we were making, nobody here is, but if we were making an MVP argument, yeah, like you don't really have an argument to make right now. He's somehow still
second or third best
he
odds.
still has best odds. But the thought is what we're saying, which is that he's going to improve. That's why he had, and they know he's going to rack up a bunch of wins. And we've gone through the MVP stuff. You got to win your division for starters to actually be able to do it. There's also just way more, like every single conversation, nuance required besides looking at a box score. And each of the interceptions, 3-4 of them, you can kind of explain away. And like some people, I think, get accustomed because their quarterback is unproven and frankly sucks, that they're like, well, you're just explaining away every interception. I do that, and you guys say he stinks. Yeah, because your guy hasn't done anything.
But your guy stinks.
Yeah,
that's why. That's the difference.
Your guy is also, like, I mean, pick a quarterback. I mean, your guy's Gardner Minshew. Nobody's really defending Minshew. But, like, your guy's Trevor
also used
Lawrence.
to lead the NFL in interceptions.
Like, it's just a difference. As we got Nate Taylor from The Athletic stepping in studio with us. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm well. I have done my, ladies and gentlemen, I provide a service. It is a very small service, but it's a civic one. But today, I fulfilled my biggest civic duty.
Which is? You voted?
A little advanced voting, huh?
I voted.
There you
Yes,
go.
I did. Imperative that I vote early, ladies and gentlemen, because the trade deadline, as we all know, is on election day.
There you go.
Is that what you told him when you went in? You're like, hey, just real quick. Trade deadline, jobs.
Can I move up a little bit? No, everybody was great. Very smooth process for the most part. It's nice to see that a lot of people do want to vote early, even though it is a Tuesday. And I thought, I'll have plenty of time. Ew. So no, glad I did it. I would obviously encourage everyone to vote if they have the opportunity, if they are registered. But yeah, I perform my civic duty, and it feels great.
What would you grade Patrick Mahomes' season? If it had a letter grade.
A letter grade. Okay, that was going to be one
Someone
of my
said,
questions.
yeah, because I said, what would you grade it? And then I got 6-0. I got 100%.
No.
And then letter grades and all the things that come with it.
No, kids. Let's remember that in the postseason run, a 4-game sample size of gotta have it games, win or go home.
He was perfect.
A+. Okay. So that's the high mark. That's what everything else is sort of standardized on. Right now, I would give him somewhere between a B and a B+ when you consider all the circumstances and the fact that most of them he has no control over.
Yeah.
Now the big one was the Rashee Rice one, which at the time,
I know, but that's just like freak stuff, man.
Yes, but as any teacher will tell you, kind of messed that one up there. So when you remove Hollywood Brown, where he thrown him one ball all year in the preseason, Isaiah Pacheco being out in week 2, bringing in Kareem Hunt, Kingsley Suamataia, remember him?
Oh yeah,
that was a thing. Now they got Wande Morris.
Man was playing a tent on Sunday. They made him. He's been downgraded so high he just had to stand in front of the sun.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah, Andy didn't bring the tents and shades. He said we can have our big linemen stand in front of our guys, keep them cool.
Yeah, I mean,
old school
teamwork.
Very old school. Hey, you okay if we bring Juju back? Oh, by the way, like half the game plan is about Juju. Oh, sorry, he's not available for the next 3 quarters.
And next week.
And I think it's gonna linger for quite a while, gentlemen.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted to hear.
It's tough because everybody was pretty sure that he was playing on Friday. I even told Carrington, like, don't worry, he's gonna play. I told a bunch of friends.
That's how Andy was talking
on Saturday. Like, no. I saw him Friday. I saw him in person. Like, he's fine. But when you tweak it, when you fall the way he fell, and I rewatched it yesterday, I said, oh boy. And it
reminded you of Evans last night? Is that what it was?
No, not necessarily that bad. But watching him leave the locker room at Levi Stadium on Sunday, it was like, oh, this is worse than Thursday, Friday.
Got it.
So again, it could be a week or 2, maybe 3, if you want to be, cautious. But given all the things that he has to juggle, and the fact that he does rely on his defense, the fact that he will use his legs when he has literally no receiving options available to him, that's about as high of a grade as I can give him, is about a BB+, because put any average quarterback in his situation, it is a dumpster fire. It's horrid. It's you could criticize the coaching for like the game plans, but I have to remind myself that in 4 of the 6 games so far, the game plan literally goes out the window, which is just like insane. It's like, hey, we had all this time to get ready for the Baltimore Ravens, and I think everything kind of went to a T against the Atlanta Falcons. Every other game has been like, well, we'll just figure it out as we go. 4 tight ends, I guess, So it's a B, and he should be commended because he's shown a lot of moxie, a lot of mettle, and his resolve has been a key ingredient to the team being undefeated.
The wide receivers, you mentioned Juju. It's going to be a couple weeks now with this hamstring injury. They were also at one point down to 3 receivers because Worthy was a little banged up, and he came back in the game. Mm-hmm. We asked you a week ago about trading for receivers. It's a numbers game at this point, right?
Yeah.
Other than calling up Nico or Remigio or Justin Ross, I mean, they still don't have the numbers.
Okay, so I was thinking about this yesterday. All right, functionally, you can't do this to this man, and that's essentially what I wrote in my most recent story in The Athletic that we posted last night, because I told my editors, I'm like, hey, we should put this out as soon as possible because they are in a dire situation. And
I thought I might wake up this morning and they'd have a new wide receiver.
Yeah, they can make a trade at any point. Now, Andy is always clear about Brett, and this is from Andy's perspective and him doing it as a general manager himself, but just like try to be as diligent as you can. Try to hold out as long as you can. Be diligent, obviously uncover all the rocks. I love the fact that, I didn't put Cooper Kupp in my piece because I was just like, that's ludicrous. And then of course a few hours later, Diana's like, Cooper Kupp, and so this is part of the doing your due diligence if you're trying to go about this the best way you can, but you are under a immense deadline because Sky Moore cannot be on the field for 33 snaps, even if it's against the Las Vegas Raiders. Like it can't happen. As I wrote in my story, gentlemen, Wanye Morris has better receiving statistics than Sky Moore.
Oh, no.
Justin Watson needs to stay in his role.
Hey, is he washed? Is he just like,
No,
he's not even as good as he was the last 2 years.
I don't think he's washed, but he's not you can't put more on him.
Yeah, okay.
So
he's good if you just ask him to do a little bit.
Yeah, just be solid, knows what he's doing. But again, half the game plan against the 49ers was Juju Smith-Schuster, which again is a credit to Andy Reid and Matt Nagy for being like, I guess we'll figure this out as we go. We'll just build the plane in the air. They have to make a trade. Because you're in such a good position, you are undefeated. You have a 2-game lead on everybody in the conference. Do not whittle it away because you didn't make a move till actually election day. Like that. No. Get that out of here. You need to help the quarterback as much as possible. And now you're asking yourself, man, if he makes, we're almost getting to the point where if he makes one great throw to Xavier Worthy, yes, it's a different ballgame. I completely understand that. Guys overthrow receivers all the time on deep routes, okay?
Yeah.
What you can't have is that is a defining moment because all of a sudden the receiver gets leverage. He got held. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's illegal contact. There's holding on the play. Unfortunately, incidental contact, sure, he trips, interception. Xavier Worthy's not supposed to be doing this, guys. That's supposed to be like late November, December. Hey, McCole.
He doesn't have a choice, though. I mean, he's their most talented receiver by a mile.
By a mile. And so, hey, McCole, can you just, hey, man, how many jet sweeps you got in you today? Because that's what we got to run.
And good news, it's the 49ers, your favorite team.
But you could tell they literally came to him and said, hey, man, I know you got to take some hits. I know the defensive ends are going to obviously give us an advantage here. How many you got in you? Okay, you want us to give one to Xavier? Cool, we can give one to Xavier. And then they were like, and that's the one we gave to Xavier. And so how many you got in you? Like, Noah Gray led them in receiving. You cannot keep living this way. It's unsustainable, despite the fact that, yes, you are undefeated. So make a move. I mean, they should have made a move yesterday. They should have made a move. They should make a move today.
I mean, like they're playing the Raiders Sunday, but
yes.
So it's already it's about to be afternoon here on a Tuesday. That's when Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams got traded last week. They still played on Sunday.
Yes.
If they don't make a move today, then whoever they trade for is not playing on Sunday, right? So you
normally, yes, that
right?
is correct.
That means this would have to be a call-up game for Remigio or Justin Ross the way it's trending unless they make a move today. We'll talk more about this on the other side. Nate's really excited about that possibility. And
anyone but
on
Tony
the defensive side, what do they do without Jalen Watson and the broken ankle? Coming up next on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Going for a drive today as the weather stays a little too warm. Reminder, if you're looking for a new car, I know the only place you need to go, Volkswagen Lee Summit, where you choose the offer that fits best for you. Look, I know everybody's circumstances are different. We looked at new cars for like a year. We looked at 7 different dealerships and 5 different car brands. I took my kids in the backseat of some just to try to get a feel for what works. We ended up going with the Tiguan. It's got the flip-up third row. That way we can take some of her friends to dance or my son's kids to soccer. We wanted the ability to have extra kids in the car. That way they could take their friends somewhere, or we could do those things on longer road trips where maybe someone's in the car for a few minutes and we can just flip it up, be set to go, and do that kind of thing. Depending on your circumstances, you get to choose what deal works great for you. No payments for 90 days on any new car, or like me, you could choose 0% APR for up to 60 months. Or if you want, Volkswagen Lee Summit will double your down payment, where $3,000 becomes $6,000. That's right. All of those are an option to you depending on which one fits best for you. They've got a huge selection of cars. Atlas Cross Sport. I've got the Tiguan, the Taos, the Jetta. If you're just looking for a sedan, whatever you may need, they have that plus a great selection of used cars in all makes and models. Do yourself a favor, just like I did, and go to Volkswagen Lee Summit. Just pick a car, then pick your promotion at VWLeeSummit.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Finding an attorney can be an overwhelming process. Fortunately, since 1996, Mark Ferguson has helped thousands of Kansas Cityans during their time of need. Whether you're facing a traffic violation or a more serious crime, Mark and his team of seasoned, compassionate professionals are here to fight for you in all of your legal matters. Mark has built his career on integrity, knowledge, and an incredible reputation. Call Mark Ferguson at 816-203-2263. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Hey, it's Bob Fesco, and I'm here with Ryan Manning of Manning Roofing. We all know when a storm comes through, there may be a knock at your door with somebody trying to repair your roof.
Inexperienced guys will be out and getting homeowners to open up claims. A lot of the times they don't show up for those adjustments. Photo takers might not document everything, and when the file examiner takes a look at it, it ends up in a denied claim or a partial. Give us a call. We'll go from there.
Do what we did and set up your appointment today at manninggc.com or 816-448-8208. The choice is simple. It's Manning Roofing.
Calling all Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. You can enter to win a chance to be on the field for the March to the Three-Peat. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Our Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Right now, buy one, get one free on Valspar Reserve or HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Infinity or Showcase Interior Paint via Lowe's gift card rebate. Whether you're painting one accent wall or want to freshen up a whole room, we've got you covered. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. Valid through 9/4.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching.
Does this have peanuts?
To waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's great.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Brought to you by the Kansas City Symphony. This report is brought to you by the Kansas City Symphony. From a perfectly planned evening to a spontaneous night out, with the Kansas City Symphony, there's no wrong way to symphony. Get your tickets today at kcsymphony.org. That's kcsymphony.org.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
back here on Cody and Gold. We're hanging out with our guy, Nate Taylor, our Chiefs insider from The Athletic, getting set for Chiefs Raiders a little bit later on in the week, but also a lot to address with this team coming off the big win against the Niners. Obviously, the injury to Juju. But what about on the defensive side there? Jalen Watson was playing great, was playing really good football for this team. He breaks his ankle. I know there was some reporting earlier today suggesting that, all right, if they went on a deep playoff run, maybe. But they have to basically operate like he's not coming back, right?
Yeah.
And what are you hearing in terms of, I guess, the thought of staying in-house versus going out of the organization? I know this is a regime that's been able to develop guys consistently, but it was a small sample size. Nazeeh Johnson just being thrown in there didn't look great. Now he gets a whole week to game plan and everything like that. Maybe it'll be better for him.
Yeah, and I think people should really get to know Chris Roland Wallace.
I didn't even know who that was until he made the interception, Nate. It's not an insult. He played one snap before that moment.
Yes.
Was I supposed to?
No. I would like to remind people he was, because I had asked him after the game in the locker room, and I was just like, what was it like to, be the last guy to make the team, essentially? He played it pretty cool, but he's got a lot of skills. He's done pretty well on special teams. I think it'll be a rotation of him and Nazeeh Johnson. Joshua Williams is still in the mix, but he's been mostly relegated to special teams. This is basically, Steve Spagnuolo going to Dave Merritt and just saying, who do you trust the most? And that's what we're going to play. Who can play the best in press man coverage? Obviously, they play that a ton against the San Francisco 49ers. Roland Wallace right now appears to be slightly better at it but again, this is like really limited film. Chris Roland Wallace appears to be slightly better at it than Nazeeh Johnson, but you can play more zone with Nazeeh Johnson, is my understanding based on his skill set coming in to the league as a safety, as sort of an all-everything DB in college. So I don't know. I mean, it puts more of a premium on Trent McDuffie, but I mean, Trent is incredible. So, I mean, sure.
Oh, no.
And you might just be in more three safety looks already, right? It's even better that Jaden Hicks, in a very unusual circumstance, gets put into the game, has his great interception. So they could obviously play him more too. But I think it's going to be fascinating to know who does Dave Merritt trust the most against the Raiders, who, I mean, have you seen their depth chart? It's
Jacoby Myers is there, and Brock Bowers is it, right? I mean, that's
not even like Jacoby Myers not all that good.
No,
I mean,
but
in
I'm
terms
saying,
of receivers, yes.
Yeah. That's about it, man. Yeah. Max Crosby, fine. Max Crosby, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers. That's it. Tell me anybody else I should be even looking at.
Okay, here we go, kids. I'm looking at it right now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
For Trey Tucker.
I know. What?
DJ Turner.
Jeez.
Alex Backman. They should.
If you made one of those up, and you
the last one's made up. The last one's made up.
Is that one made up?
The last one's made up.
Tyreek McAllister.
But like Nate, I might be the most bullish person on the planet on this, and I know that it's probably taking it too far because Chiefs fans hate to hear it. I said before the season start, after we got like 2 weeks into the season, I would never once again fall into a trap where I didn't believe that they could essentially cover any corner. I do not think defensively we will notice any difference without Jalen Watson. That is not to say Jalen Watson isn't better than the players who are there. I'm just saying when it all shakes out, I will notice no difference from their secondary.
I think there's one thing that Jalen Watson was really, really good at, which is basically why he earned the starting role opposite of McDuffie on opening night against the Ravens. And at the time I was like, okay, well, I understand it, but then you see it over the course of 6 weeks. One of the reasons why the Chiefs are so good at run defense is Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie come downhill and they are going to tackle the living hell out of you. You not getting by them. And so when Jalen Watson did really well on the perimeter against Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson didn't have a highlight that looked like what Patrick Mahomes did.
Or what he did last night.
On Sunday, yes, you can include that as well. That is the one difference I can at least point to. It's not necessarily the ball skills for Jalen Watson were getting better too. but he's such a good tackler that I am a little bit, I want to give him a lot of credit to where you need to see it more often with someone like
That's
Chris
what I would think of, I guess.
Yeah, more so than Chris Roland Wallace or even Najee Johnson. Najee's been fine because he's played pretty well on special teams when given the opportunity. But this will be a pretty big role for him, considering that I would like to remind the audience, before his ACL injury during training camp last season, he was the starting cornerback.
I felt like they wanted him to win the job this year too. Am I wrong?
Well,
felt like they were kind of handicapping it in a way where they'd
Yes.
like it if he won the job. He just didn't.
Yeah, and he had a lot of nicks and bruises and, consistency, knocking the rust off, whatever, term you want to bring. He had a lot of that in training camp. And so he's had to play himself back into shape. And, thankfully he hasn't had any issues with the leg. He had a hamstring issue in training camp preseason, but he's done pretty well to be available for every game so far this season, because it's a critical year from him coming off an ACL when you're not going to be at your absolute athletic peak. But he is being a nice contributor so far.
So we know it hurts the depth at minimum, let alone maybe a potential drop-off by losing Watson. Because of the depth issue, are you hearing anything? Do you expect before the trade deadline, either a trade deadline depth acquisition, or I don't even know who the hell's on the street, but that they would go outside the organization, not necessarily to jump in and start opposite McDuffie, but just to, because obviously now you're at where if Joshua Williams goes down, or if then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, one name that was floated to me and I thought it was interesting was Patrick Peterson.
Is this 2018? That dude's been linked to Kansas City for 6 years. First it was, Tyrann Mathieu here. They're buddies. They're friends. He's got to be traded. We've been doing this since 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he is
he's a free agent, right?
He is a professional football player who is, and I just double checked, currently a free agent. So he's also 34. Yeah, but again, that's just a name I heard.
Okay.
I think the more pressing matter is at the receiver position.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
They just don't have. I mean, that's the other part, I guess, is you're not a cap expert, but anything they can do, wiggle some numbers around, get some more cap space, because that's the thing that's actually holding them back here. They spent every dime
yes.
They spent every dime to make this roster what it was, and it's easy to forget that because people are like, I can't believe they're doing this to Patrick Mahomes. Like, well, this wasn't their plan.
Right.
They had Rashee Rice, who had developed into maybe one of the 20 best wide receivers in the NFL.
Yep.
Hollywood Brown, who was going to be a really solid number 2 option. Then all the guys you're seeing now, they were supposed to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
Yes.
on the roster. Like, there's a limit to how much money you can spend in a given year. We were looking it up. They've done a better job in dead cap hit than about
anybody.
90% of the NFL. So, they're not even wasting their money.
No.
There's only just so much money that can go around.
Especially when you're extending guys to be the top at their positions, and those deals are going to kick in later down the road as well. Now, whatever money you save from the salary cap that you don't use, you can roll that into next year. And obviously, as the balloon gets bigger for the salary cap, that would be a smart thing to do. For instance, I would suggest that the Cleveland Browns save every little bit of money they have and roll that thing over, because it's not going to help. I'm looking at over the cap and I'm like, they do have $45 million in effective cap space right now that they could roll into next year. It will not matter.
They're still happy he got hurt. They got at least insurance on the money when he's hurt.
Yes.
They don't have to cost themselves as much cash now.
Correct. So with that being said, by the way, the reason I said it will not matter is what quarterback they getting? Is any of these quarterbacks that's coming in the draft good? Because they don't look good.
I mean, it's better than Deshaun Watson. Any quarterback better than Deshaun Watson.
True, but their timeline is completely exploded.
Yeah, they got to just blow it up.
Because their roster can't wait for a guy to
They really
develop.
should trade Myles Garrett. I don't think they will, but they really should.
Well, he's on the poster, and so you got to promote somebody.
Who cares? But they're 3 years away from being good. And if you're that far away, you should trade anything that isn't bolted down.
Yep.
If somebody will give you something then just take it.
Yeah.
Be the number 1 overall pick 3 years in a row if that's what it takes.
Right.
But you got to sell your soul at this point.
So given what we know about Deshaun's injury and based on what you just said, Cody, most teams will do that during the offseason, during like February and March. So for the Chiefs, if you want to roll over a couple $1 million, that's great. Every little bit helps. But they need either a team to eat some portion of the salary, or you're gonna have to make a move and then cut somebody, and that's just the nature of the NFL to some degree.
And that's at the running back spot, maybe.
I think they're carrying all four all
so
year.
Smart, Alex?
Well, they have
Why are you so smart, man?
The only guy
got the
that
numbers.
cut though was Clyde.
Yeah. Well,
Why you?
that's
the only one, Nate.
Come on,
decision.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the internet is available to us.
Yeah.
We all are mathematicians to a degree, and look, Isaiah Pacheco is on track to come back. So you could obviously mitigate that to some degree. You know, at some point before Juju got hurt, you were like, hey, why don't you trade for somebody? And you guys can negotiate maybe a 2-year deal, right? That gives you a little bit more flexibility. Now that Juju Smith-Schuster's hurt, now that Sky Moore is wide receiver 3 for all intents and purposes, get Darius Slayton at a reduced cost to stay under the cap.
Nate, before you go, I know we've talked to a lot of Chiefs here. We actually wanted a third person in to judge this properly. We learned yesterday, out of nowhere, even though Drew's been producing this show for over a year, he can beatbox.
What?
He put that as his hidden talent
on our bio.
On a bio for the company. But
that's like going to be publicly viewed on the website.
Yes.
Wow.
So before we make a judgment on it ourselves, more people in here, the better to judge the quality of the beatboxing. So we saved it for when you're in here. So he's going to beatbox for us for like 30 seconds, and then we can give some opinion on that. Drew, when you're ready.
And the last time when's the last time you beatbox like for this length of time that you're about to do?
30 seconds, you know?
Probably like high school.
Buddy. So here we go. Drew's hidden talent that is not hidden anymore.
All right. I feel like I had to throw a jiggy in there.
Well done. You know? Well done.
You graded Mahomes. Let's grade that.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I be the kid next to you at the lunch table with the pencils? Oh,
No,
Here's what I'd say. If you were a professional beatboxer, but as a radio show guy, like you said, in school, this absolutely would play.
Oh, this rips. I mean, this is amazing.
To Nate's point, it started with the pens in class. It started with the pens in class.
The pencils,
That,
man.
I haven't heard someone beatbox in a very long time, but I was impressed.
Amazing.
I was impressed by that.
Ladies, you come in here and do that, okay? You come into the studio and get on the mic.
I was impressed by that.
Pressure on, you know?
That was great. Now it does make me think of, you know, some of the sound effects that we would get in like the Wu-Tang Clan, you know, albums. You know, it's like, you know, Drew in a credit for the Fugees. You know, like, oh, Busta Rhymes called him. Yeah, I can come down and get on the mic.
The iterations are coming. He said he'll do it to other songs, like he can do it to Taylor
That's
Swift.
what we're later in the week.
I'm gonna sing a song over one of these. We're gonna really do this.
So we're gonna find a popular song, a song that's popular right now.
You can beatbox you can make a beat to any song. You could play "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift. There's some way that you can make it fit.
Text line A+ for my Twin Peaks hero. That was fantastic.
For my Twin Peaks hero.
Someone else says now everybody's in their car beatboxing.
Hell yeah.
Someone else said they're gonna harass C-Dot to beatbox on his show all day.
Look, it's
Drew Tang was a text we just got.
Look, man. Look, I mean, how many onomatopoeias can we give him? You know, it'd be pretty great to know that what you put on paper is legitimate, sir. You know, a lot of people out here fronting, a lot of people out here capping.
I appreciate you.
You know, when you say you can do something, you do it. You know,
we used to. Like as I said, like I would lose my breath because we would like make music or whatever. Like, with the pens and pencils, you go until that wrist starts to hurt. You look down and your wrist is swelling up a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's how it all started right there.
And there's like Fanta, Mountain Dew just right there to just get a sip and get right back to it. You know? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
What
And everybody's crowding around because they want to be a part of it. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
And who of our crew spits the best that we will not ridicule the most?
Yes. Yeah, that's really all it is at that point.
Yeah, that's a what a joy.
What did it end on a
Strong performance.
Fun note?
Yeah.
Strong performance. Very impressed by that. Nate, thanks for coming in studio, man.
Yeah, of course.
Good to get your insight as always, and check out his work over at The Athletic. We're back at it tomorrow, a Wednesday edition of the show. Ross Tucker is going to join us. We'll get his perspective on what's going on in the NFL. We're also expected to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on 96.5 The Fan.